The demand of Microsoft Fabric is increasing rapidly, and every other organization is looking for Fabric developers. And the most important skill is Fabric pipelines. We all have witnessed the success of data roles with Azure Stack, and there is no doubt that Microsoft Fabric will follow the same path. That's why I have created this course where you will learn Fabric pipelines in detail with real world examples. In short, this is your one-stop solution to master Fabric pipelines and are essential for anyone wants to transition into the Microsoft Fabric stack. And yes, I uploaded one complete Fabric tutorial last year, but this course is purely focused on the Fabric pipelines because this is the core skill for data engineers, and there are so many updates and so many new additions since then, so I thought of just create a new dedicated course on this important skill. So without delaying further, let's get started with this amazing Fabric pipeline masterclass. So what's up fam, happy Sunday. Finally, Fabric data pipelines video is here on your special request. So let me just set the context for this video. So this video is for those who want to grow in the field of data engineering and is for those who are beginner in the field of data engineering as well, because this particular tutorial will explain and will just make you a pro Fabric developer from the data pipelines point of view, which is the backbone of the data engineering profile. Make sense? So first of all, you do not need any kind of prior knowledge with Azure Stack or with data engineering stuff. Obviously, you should have some basic understanding like what is data engineering, what is ETL, what is ELT. If not, I have still given some overview, but if you have that knowledge, it will be very good for you. You should have very basic, I would say, SQL understanding. Basic Python is more than enough for this particular tutorial, because Fabric data pipelines uses no code approach to build the production grade data pipeline. So that is why this course is for every single person, experienced, intermediate, beginner, and for anyone who wants to just learn Fabric data pipelines. Okay, simple. So this is the context for this video, and let me just tell you what exactly you will learn by the end of this video. So after completing this particular course, you will be able to build the production ready pipelines. Why I am saying this thing? Because here in this particular tutorial, we will be just talking about real world scenarios, real world use cases, and we'll be just looking at all of the activities that we use within Fabric data pipelines, such as get metadata, if conditions, for loops, data ingestion from APIs, and storing it into the lake house, data flows, literally everything. So this will actually make you comfortable with building pipelines for production, right? We will also talk about how to monitor the pipelines, how to, let's say, schedule the pipelines, literally everything. And yes, we'll be just using all of the free resources in this video, so you do not need to pay for any particular software we will be using. Second, I will also walk you through how you can just create your free Fabric account for this particular use case. Simple. I hope it is very simple. So let's get started with this particular amazing masterclass. And yes, hit the subscribe button right now. Okay, now let's get started. So now we are trying to master Fabric data pipelines. Everyone knows the importance of data pipelines, especially for data engineering profiles, because data pipeline is something that you cannot miss. It is a non-negotiable. So first of all, let's talk about data pipelines a little bit in detail so that you have a crystal clear understanding before directly jumping on Fabric part of it, how we can implement and build pipelines in Fabric. So we just need to grow step by step. So let's say, first of all, you have a series of activities. Let's say you are you might be extracting some data, let's say. Okay, so let's say you are extracting some data, you are transforming it. Let's use some real example. Let's say you have some data coming from the sources. It can be SQL database, it can be, let's say, API, it can be S3, it can be literally anything, right? Let's say these are the two sources. Perfect, simple. Now you have these sources. Now let's say you just want to extract this data and you want to just put it in, let's say, data lake, right? Cool. And after doing this thing, let's say you want to obviously transform this data. So then you will transform this data and you will, let's say, create two locations to store this data, right? Let's say one is this one, the second one is this one. Cool, makes sense. Now after these two things, let's say now you will be aggregating the data and you will be just creating the Delta Lake, which is again very popular. And yes, we'll be just using Delta Lake as well, so you will learn this area as well. So let's say this is your Delta Lake. Cool. And you just need to aggregate the data from these locations. Simple. Okay, simple. So let's say you have created these series of activities. Now just tell me one thing. You created this thing. First of all, this is called a data pipeline. Why? Because you are first of all getting the data from these sources and you are delivering and you can say serving the data at the endpoint. And this data delta lake, okay, will be used by, let's say, your analytics team. It can be used by your managers. Your data analytics team will be just using Power BI reports, literally anything. Okay, because this delta lake is nothing but just a kind of lake house, right? So it can be delta lake or you can say lake house. Same thing. So let's use lake house just for the simplicity. Make sense? So you are literally serving these people. Okay. So this is a kind of very basic structure of a pipeline. Now, why pipelines are so important? Because let's say you have just built this structure, it's fine. But in order to just keep it up and running, you have to schedule this as well, right? So let's say you will be just scheduling it. Do we have any kind? Let's use this one. So let's say you will be just scheduling this thing, this entire pipeline. Let's say this pipeline should run every day at 8 a.m. or let's say at 12 a.m. in the midnight. So this way you are actually delivering the data to these people, these stakeholders on a daily basis or on an hourly basis or even in the real time as well. This is just an example. Like this is a simple pipeline. Now, in order to perform anything, you have to build the pipeline because you cannot just use the data from the source because source data is actually scattered around so many areas. Plus the engines are not built in such a way they can handle large amount of data. Think about it. You have data, let's say in the databases having billions of rows and you want to just build reports directly on top of this. You will be consuming so much of compute. Are you getting the point? You will be just using so much of compute. Yeah, makes sense. So if you just want to get rid of all of these things, you just build this kind of workflow where you can just dump your data in the data lake, you can compress your data, you can use the compute engines such as Apache Spark and the ones which are very popular. Then you can just aggregate your data and build the final layer, which is a kind of dimensional data model in the lakehouse. Cool. So this is your data pipeline. Now in order to build the similar thing like the pipeline, the schedule and everything, we have a new tool, or not, I would say tool, it's a kind of ecosystem in itself. It's called Fabric. Now everyone knows the importance of Fabric because everyone has seen the success of data roles in the Azure, you can say network, or you can say Azure set of tools, right? The same thing will be applicable on Fabric as well, right? So all of the roles which required, let's say working with tools, let's say if you were in the Azure stack, even if you're not, let me just tell you. So in Azure, people used to work with, let's say, Data Factory. People used to work with Synapse. Some people were using Databricks as well, Azure Databricks. Perfect. Then obviously they just use Data Lake as well, ADLS Gen2. Perfect. And obviously they were using, let's say, SQL database and event hubs. So these were like bread and butter for all of the people who were working in the data role with Azure stack. Now, what if I tell you that all of these things are replaced by just one tool, Fabric? Wow. And even your Power BI as well. Let's say this as well. So what if I say all of these things? Because see, when you were just working with this particular stack, we had so many tools and technologies, different ones, data factories, Synapse Analytics, Event House, Power BI, SQL database, Data Lake, Databricks. Now, obviously, Databricks is a separate one, but yeah. So we were just working with so many capabilities, right, within Azure, but we were just working and just knitting and just integrating so many technologies together. Instead of just doing that, we can simply use only one platform, which is Fabric. So Fabric has done what? Fabric has just combined all of the major profiles of data, such as data engineering, first of all, the major one. Second is your data analytics. And the third one is data science. Perfect. These three profiles are here in Fabric, well integrated. All of the things. So this is your Fabric in a nutshell. Now, just a quick clarification, because some people will say like, hey, we already know the stack, so what should we do? And some people will say we do not even need to worry about this thing. So let me just give you a clear answer. So if you already know this particular stack, it will be very easy for you to learn Fabric, very easy. But that doesn't mean that if you do not know this stack, it is very difficult for you to learn the Fabric. The thing is, if you already have some ground knowledge in this stack, you will feel some things familiar. You would try to relate to the things which are available in Azure. But if you are coming from, let's say, a non-Azure background, if you're coming from AWS, or even let's say you are a total beginner, you do not need to worry at all, because you will be directly learning Fabric. You will be learning all of these things in the Fabric. Basically, we are covering the data pipelines part, because data pipeline is something which is like in today's era is like very common thing. Earlier, only data engineers were building data pipelines, but nowadays, yes, the major 90% of the pipelines are still built by data engineers and will be built by data engineers, because those are very critical for the entire organization. But still, there's a gap. There is some percentage of the data pipelines which can be built by the junior roles as well. So that is why this video is for everyone who is a senior data engineer, junior data engineer, mid-level data engineer, even analytics engineers who want to learn how to build data pipelines in Fabric, because data pipelines are something that is the backbone of every solution. You have to just move the data from one place to another. You have to transform the data before using it in your reports. You have to do all of the basic stuff. Even if you are a data science profile person, you would need to transform some data before actually building any ML model, any ML recommendation model, anything. Simple, clear. So this is a Fabric in a nutshell. Now I hope that you have a clear understanding of Fabric, data pipeline, and then why Fabric, even if we have Azure. So it is not the direct replacement for Azure. It is the replacement for all of these tools. And currently, almost every organization who was on the Azure stack has started migrating to this Fabric. Okay. That is why you are seeing the rapid growth of Fabric. People are just moving to Fabric. They need developers. They just need talent who can actually build the, you can say, solutions in Fabric. So that is why. Simple. And yes, it has a great future. Like Fabric is like the end-to-end unified data platform. So it has literally everything. It is still like in the very initial stages, and the future is really, really bright for Fabric. Very, very sure about it. Simple. So now let's try to see how we can just create our Fabric capacity, or you can say Fabric account. We just usually call it as Fabric capacity. So let's see how we can just create the account and how we can just get started with Fabric, right? You would need to create one Azure account, which is free. So simply go on browser and search Azure free account. And here's the link. And this web page will give you two options: pay as you go and try Azure for free. Try Azure for free means that you can literally use Azure free for 30 days. It will give you $200 to use their services, and you can just use it. To be honest, we do not even need to worry about cost here, because we are not using any Azure service. We will be just using Fabric, right? Second option is pay as you go. If you already have the free account and you already exhausted it, so you can just go with pay as you go. But I think the thing that I'm just going to show you will not require, I think, paid account. But if it requires, then yes, you have to switch to pay as you go if you want to, if you do not have the free account. Simple. And this is the first option. Second option is you would need to have one organization account with some domain, right? So let's say your name @blah.com. Okay. Why? Because Fabric provides some free, you can say, capacity to every organizational account. And if you have some organization account, and then obviously you will get some free capacity, free credits, right? Cool. So you can just go either way. So this is the thing. So now you will say, Ansh, Lamba, how we can just log into Azure? Let's say we have the Azure account and we just want to go with that way. So let's talk about that as well. So in this case, first of all, you will simply go to portal.azure.com again, because it will simply ask you to log in. So once you have created your account, then you would just search this thing, portal.azure.com. This is a kind of console that you use for Azure. Okay. So I already have logged in. So this is my account. It can look a little bit different in your case, but you do not need to worry at all, because these are some of the recent services or some suggestions and all of these things. Cool. Obviously, we do not need to worry about Azure at all, because we are focusing totally on the Fabric side. But yes, we'll be just integrating Azure services as well with our Fabric. So some basic understanding will be very, very helpful if you have. And if you do not have one, do not need to worry, because it's very simple, just a cloud platform where we just use the services. And if you have used AWS before or any other cloud platform, it will be like very simple for you. And if you haven't used any cloud platform so far, then slow claps first of all. And let me just tell you, it's not a big deal. Cloud platform is just a platform where you can just use the resources. For example, let's say you just want to use a virtual machine, let's say. So you will simply search for it and it will just show you the options, and then you can simply get one virtual machine, or you can say VPS, virtual private server. So you can just do create that thing. Okay, you can also create virtual machine scale set, anything. So it just gives you the platform where you can rent the services instead of buying it. Simple. And if you, let's say you just want to use data lake, then simply search storage account, and then you will just get the option to just create the storage account, and that way you can just use any service provided by a cloud. That is all about cloud. Cloud is basically, you can say, the services which are hosted on the remote server, which are not yours, but you use those services via internet. And that's why they created this concept as cloud. That's it. But behind the scenes, they are simply renting the services and you are just using their services. That's it. This is your cloud. Okay. Quick 2 minutes masterclass on cloud, and that's all you need to know. By the way, if you just want to learn Azure in detail, let's say fundamentals, jokes apart, then yes, I do have one full course on Azure data fundamentals, which will give you a very strong foundation around Azure. But for this course, it is actually not required. So that's why we are not discussing that thing in detail. Whatever things are required, I will just tell you on the fly, so you do not need to worry. Okay, simple, cool. So first thing first, I need to just tell you one thing, that whatever services, whatever resources mean services. Okay. Now what are services? Services basically a kind of, you can say, service is like service. Service is like, let's say Azure has so many services. It can just provide you services for storage. It can provide you service for the infrastructure. It can just provide you service for, let's say, any kind of processing, compute, anything. So whenever you just use a service, it's called a resource. And whenever we just want to use any resource, we have to store it somewhere. And this storage, this particular structure, this kind of folder structure is called resource group. Okay. So that's why you should know this thing, resource group. So whenever you just want to use any resource, you have to create a resource group first of all. It helps you organize your resources better. Okay. So now let's go to the search bar, because whatever we just create, we simply type here and we just create it. Simply search resource group and click here. Here you will see nothing, but in my case, I have so many resource groups and I have never deleted them. So very good, Ansh, Lamba. So let's create a new resource group and I will just call it as Fabric Pipelines. Simple. Region is Canada Central, it's fine. Review plus create. And then click on create. And that's it. So this is all created. I can search it. In your case, it will just appear at the top. So that is, where is that? Fabric Pipelines. Let me refresh. Yeah, here it is. So I have this resource group. Okay. And as you can see, it is empty. I can have some space. So this is, as you can see, empty. And within that, we can just create so many things. Currently, I do not want to create anything, but we will just create some stuff that you will just use. Okay. So for now, it will be empty and that is fine. Cool. Click on the home button. And here you need to use something called as Entra ID. Microsoft Entra ID. There are multiple ways. You can even click here and search Entra ID. So this is Entra ID and they have just added one nice UI. So click on these ... click on Entra. This will open one Entra dedicated portal because Entra is the platform from where we govern everything, all of the users, groups, service principals, everything. Okay, so here what you need to do, you simply need to go to users, and here you will see first of all just one user, just you, but in my case I have some. So let me just create one more user, and I will simply say new user, create new user, and I will just use the name as Fabric Pipelines. Okay, this is my username. You can just pick any username. Display name is the same, Fabric Pipelines. Perfect. And let me just set the password, and let me just set it. So let's say you can just set anything. Okay, perfect. So I'll simply say review plus create. What this will do, this will create one organizational account, and this organization will be like my domain, right? Because if you just refresh it, you will see this account is created, and this account email ID is this one, right? So this way you can just create one organization account, and this is linked with your cloud account. There are multiple ways. Some people prefer creating this account with Microsoft 365 as well, D365, but that way you will not be able to use Azure cloud, and I want you to use Azure cloud. So that's why I created the account this way. Simple, cool. So this is my email ID that I'll be just using. So once you have this email account, that means you are good to go with your Fabric setup. Oh really? Yes. So now let's try to use Fabric. So what I will do right now, I will simply open, where is my browser? This is my browser. Okay. So now what I will do, I will simply open one new browser, and I will search app.fabric. What was the URL? Let me just get the URL. So this is the URL, app.fabric.microsoft.com. And then you can simply type login after that. Let me just zoom in so that you can just see, and hit enter, and it will just take you to this particular page, sign in Microsoft Fabric. So this is the page that you just need, app.fabric.microsoft.com. Simple. And here you need to put that email account that you have just copied. So I have logged in, and it will just take me to the official Microsoft Fabric page. It will look like similar to Power BI, but yeah, we just need to enable so many things. So this is your landing page of Microsoft Fabric. Yes, it looks like Power BI, but it is not at all. It is Fabric. Okay. So let's first of all, you can see that it is written, we have assigned you of Microsoft Fabric free license for personal use. You are signed in and can create and explore your own Power BI reports. Simple. Simply say okay. Okay. And here, yes, we need to do a lot of stuff before actually saying that we are using Fabric. So what you can do, first of all, click on your icon, and here you will see all of the things like your account ID, license type free account, and all of these things. But here you need to first of all request the 60-day trial to try a Microsoft Fabric capacity. Now the thing is, whenever you want to work with Fabric, there are multiple capacities, F4, and they're like so many. So it will simply assign us like F64 capacity, and simply say start trial, and default Canada, and everything is fine. Simply say activate. In some cases, so it will simply successfully upgrade to Microsoft Fabric. In some cases, it will show the error that it will just allow you to use Power BI and not Fabric. It is possible if you have newly created your Azure account, and if you have just registered your account, because your account should be like a little, I would say, some days old in order to actually use the same account to create the Fabric. Okay, click on OK, and we do not need to invite anyone, so we are good. Simple. So it will simply refresh the page. Now everything is same, but now Fabric capabilities are added. If I click on this Power BI button, you will see Fabric, right? So click on this thing, and now you will see this icon, which is Fabric. Cool. So that's how you can just create your Fabric account. And now within this thing, if you just go to, let's say, workspaces, do not worry at all like, oh, what are all of these options? What are these options? What is this thing? Do not need to worry at all. First of all, go to workspaces, and here you will see my workspace. If you just want to work with any resource, so there's a hierarchy that we need to follow. In Azure, if you would remember that we always create the resource group, and within that we create the resources. Similarly, here we create the workspace, and within that we create our resources. I'll simply say new workspace because I just want to create a new one, and let's name it as pipelines WS workspace. Okay, this name is available, got it, and I can even upload my picture. Domain is optional. Basically, in the you can say organization, when we have so many workspaces, we can actually group those workspaces together to a specific domain. So for example, let's say in your organization you have a workspace for literally every project, and now you have, let's say, 50 plus workspaces, and it is actually a mess to manage 50 workspaces. What you can do, you can group together the workspaces for the specific domains. For example, let's say you have a domain called HR. So you can just group together those workspaces, and then you can just simply say, okay, this is my domain. Simple. Cool. And contact list is this one, Power BI Pro and Fabric Trial. I can just pick this one as well. Okay. What do you want to access and blah, blah, blah. So you can simply pick Power BI Fabric Trial instead of Power BI Pro. I think Power BI Pro is also good. Yeah, but Fabric Trial is select because they have just added. I think it was not there before. Yeah, just simply pick Fabric Trial. It's fine. And then it will simply say trial, and it will simply small semantic model. It's fine. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, simply apply. So this will create your workspace, and in this workspace, you create all of the resources. Simply click on new item and you will see a long list of services. You should see copy job, data flow gen 2, notebook, pipeline, literally everything. So this is your Microsoft Fabric. I hope it makes sense. Wow, they have also added DBT. Good. DBT is actually growing rapidly, and yeah. And this is your Fabric, right? So now if I just take you to the homepage. So here you have all of the things which are the shortcuts, I would say. But usually if you are working as a developer, you would hardly use these features. You will directly land on your workspace and you will manually use the resources by clicking on new item. But yes, they have added some, you can say, quick links that you can use if you just want to create a medallion architecture, Lambda function, whatever. Okay. So let's talk about this area first of all, this UI. So they have Copilot, which everyone knows, a kind of LLM integrated within your Fabric, and then they have one lake catalog. So basically what happens is, let me just tell you. So in the Fabric, whatever you do, let's say this is your Fabric application. Okay. So for Fabric capacity, for your Fabric instance that you are using, so this particular Fabric will be linked with something called as one lake. Now, what is this one lake? Have you heard of data lake? This is just that thing, but with obviously some more capabilities. We will talk about it, don't worry. So let's talk about this first of all. So this Fabric capacity, let's say this is F64, and in our case we can also check, I think it is F64. If I just go to my Fabric, if I just go to settings, not settings, I would say, simply go to yeah, first of all go to settings, and then let's say general or developer settings, admin portal. And here you will see the capacity settings, and this is Power BI Premium. It's fine. Go to trial and you will see this is F4. Yeah, not F64, F4. So this particular thing is F4 capacity. Now what is this capacity? You need to understand this thing. So let's say Fabric capacity, that's fine. You need to understand, let's say you have this particular Fabric, okay, F4. Now Fabric is Fabric. Fabric has the features and you are getting all of the features. So this is not actually limiting you from the features or resources point of view. So this Fabric has some set of compute, right? Some, you can say, power, like how frequently it can just run your data, how much of data it can just run in some, you can say, specific time. So all of these things, specifically compute, because compute is the best word to actually define the capacity. Obviously it has some more and more features as well, but let's say compute. So here you can just pick, let's say F4 capacity, F16, F32, F64. What will be the difference? The power, the capability to actually do the work, because each capacity will do some work, will have some set of resources, right? If you are, let's say, processing more and more data, if you are just scheduling more and more jobs, you need more capacity. So this is that particular concept, right? So capacity. So all of the capacity is basically the whole tenant. Tenant means your entire organization is automatically getting something called as one lake. Now one lake is nothing but just your data lake. Okay, now why do we call it as one lake? Because you do not need to create multiple data lakes, because earlier we were just creating one data lake for every project, for every resource, but now they simply say you just need one data lake. That's why they just called it as one lake. They also call it as like one drive for data, just fancy name, but yeah. So this is your one lake. One lake is nothing but just your data lake. You simply dump your data in this and that's it. And the beauty is you automatically get this one lake attached with your capacity, because it is the same one lake which is attached with all of the capacities of your tenant. Simple. I hope it makes sense. Very good. Now when you just use this one lake, you actually create multiple workspaces, right? We just created one workspace. So let's say there can be one workspace for HR project. There can be one workspace for, let's say, supply chain project. There can be one workspace for, let's say, finance project. So all of these workspaces where we'll be having all of the resources will use the same one lake. Yes, same one lake. That is the advantage. You do not need to create multiple one lakes. It will use the same one lake. Okay. And now each workspace, let's say this is W1, this is W2, this is W3. Each workspace is actually a kind of container in this one lake. Container is just a technical name. You can just treat it as like similar to folder. Why I'm saying container? Because if you have used data lake in the past, then you can just relate better that whenever we used to create container, it is the same thing. We are simply creating the containers in the one lake and we are storing our data. Simple. Cool. So now let's try to read some documentation as well, because more documentation you will read along the way, more knowledge you will gain. So let's try to see Fabric capacity first of all, because I want to provide you the best possible resources with this video. So let's say plan your capacity size. So here they have just displayed all of the capacities. These are SKUs, F2, F4. So we got F4 for free, okay, for 60 days. And they have 30-second CUUs, compute usage, okay, capacity units, and everything is here written, everything. Let's say you just want to decide like which capacity you should just take. So they have literally defined, okay, if you just want to do go with F4, you will get these CU, basically capacity units, then 8, then 16, and blah, blah, blah. Okay. Makes sense. Makes sense. So this is like a very high level overview. If you just want to go with capacity SKU in detail, by the way, you will not be discussing SKUs for sure. But let's say if you are discussing that thing, click here and you can just read more on the capacity. And here you will just see Power BI vCores, Power BI SKU, because if you are a Power BI developer, you would know like which Power BI SKU you want to pick with which capacity, and Power BI vCores. We have some vCores with data engineering stuff as well. So that way we just combine all of the requirements and then we just pick the best capacity. Again, this decision will be more on the software, or you can say solution design team, who will be just architecting this project, or let's say data architect decision, because this would just involve so many decisions around cost as well. Okay, but this is all about SKUs. So now if we just go with, let's say, one lake, then let's say what do we get? See, written one lake, one drive for data. Fancy line, but yeah. So here, if you just look at this image, I really like this diagram because it clears so many things. So you have one lake and you have different workspaces assigned within the same one lake. And whatever service you use, let's say data factory, data engineering, data science, and blah, 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 all of these things will be pointing to the same one lake, And that is it. That is all about one lake. Cool. And now let's also talk about one very good area where you can just explore so many stuff about Fabric, because if you are an active learner, then I just want to share some helpful resources, because I know like you are actually serious about your career and all. So you should be like familiar with all of these areas which can actually help you learn and be updated. So I think there's a very good community that they have built. It's called Fabric Community. And I think nowadays they are just running something called as Data Days. So let me just show you that as well. Fabric Data Days 2026. Yeah, here. So they have this Data Days. So this is the, you can say, area where you can actually see all of the content they are just putting for data days. They just run so many events for you so that you are updated, you have the right knowledge in the Fabric community, and you know like how to use a tool. So I think they have just this thing as well, data days, where you can actually learn from these lectures that they are putting on the official Microsoft page. And here's another link. I was just looking for this particular link, and here you can actually see like they're just running some events as well more recently from June 15, and it will run till August 7. So you can actually take advantage of events like this, because it will actually help you maybe win some coupons or some, you can say obviously, study material. So it will actually help you stay ahead of the curve while just performing everything that you're performing on a day-to-day basis. You are like working in an organization, you can actually just have some time to just go through it, and you will actually learn a lot of things. Plus you will get the resources, plus you will get so much of free resources, plus you will get the updates as well. That is even more important. So if you are in this particular you can say area around Fabric, and you know the Fabric tool is new, then you should spend some time to actually explore these things. Make sense? So now let's get back to our Fabric of workspace. Let's try to build something. So we are here in our Fabric again. Cool. So first thing first, just go to your workspaces, and here you can even open the OneLake catalog, because currently we do not have anything, but we will just create so many stuff. We will just create workspaces and so much of things. Let's go to workspace first of all, and let's use our existing workspace, which is pipeline WS, right? And within this thing, I will create a new item. It's called pipelines, because we are learning pipelines. So we have to create pipeline. By the way, there are so many things that we integrate within the pipelines, but this is the core thing that we just need to learn. Okay, let's click this thing, click on this thing, and let's provide a meaningful name. Let's say basic. Okay, and let's say create. So this will create one pipeline, or basically it will open the canvas where you can actually create the pipeline. And this is the canvas that I was just talking about. Simple. It will give you some options. Start with blank canvas, start with guidance. You should pick the blank canvas, because you'll be just learning everything from scratch. And if you just click here, it will simply say which activity you want to pick. For now, you can literally click on anything, because it will simply provide you that starting point. But we do not need this. Simply click on this and click delete. Cool. So this is the canvas that we need to use to build and craft our pipelines. Simple. First of all, you need to understand the two analogies of pipelines if you are new to the world of pipelines, and even if you are new, not new, you would know this thing. So let's say ETL and /ELT pipelines. And yes, why I am discussing these two things, because in Fabric as well we have both the areas. Okay, so let's talk about ETL. So whenever we want to perform extract, transform and load, then we simply go with ETL pipeline. Like, what exactly does it mean? If we just try to understand it, let me just show you what does it mean. So let's say you are building something and you have some sources, and very popular sources, let's say SQL. Okay, let's say you have SQL database. It can be SQL database, it can be, let's say, API, it can be literally anything. Okay, now you want to fetch this data and you want to extract it basically, right? And what you will do, you will simply extract it, and after extracting it, you will simply transforming it as well. So let's say this is extraction, then this is transformation. Transformation can be, let's say you are removing some duplicates, you are just aggregating some data, and then finally you are loading this data to a warehouse or lakehouse, let's say. So these are three things: E, T and L. Simple, cool. This is the approach that we perform with the lightweight, or you can say when we do not have data of much size. Okay, and this is the approach which was very popular till, I would say, 2015, or yeah, 2015 2018 because after that we just changed the approach. We didn't change the approach, we simply added one more concept. Okay, but this was a concept which was very popular and the only concept that we had, but now we have more as well. So extract, transform, load means, let's say you are extracting the data and then you are just transforming it and then you are loading that data. Make sense? Cool. So now why this approach is very handy with the small data sets, because here you have to extract and transform the data on the fly, and then you need to load this data. Here you can just load the data, let's say to a warehouse, to lakehouse, to literally anything, to any location. Simple. Okay. So this was that concept. But now when we have so much of data, just think about it that you are extracting billions of records and you are processing billions of records before actually loading or just compressing it before dumping the data somewhere. Because what will happen, you will extract the data from the source and you will not put the data anywhere, and you will keep on just, you can say, transforming data on the fly, which is not a good thing at all. Because let's say you are just pulling billions of records, not a big deal, you extracted it, but you, right after extraction, you involve the transportation, you can say transform layer, and then that transform layer is actually doing the heavy work for you. Okay, what is the problem here, by the way? First of all, data size, because data is not stored anywhere. So it is not stored in the data lake. You are literally extracting it and transforming it on the fly, and then you are just loading your data. But what if I say you extract your data? Okay, what if I say you extract your data? That is fine. And after extracting the data, do not just directly go with the transformation layer. No, simply put this data somewhere, and somewhere here is, let's say, one lake. Okay, I will say, hey, just put this data somewhere for some time. So you dump this data in Delta Lake. The advantage, one of the advantages is that you can even compress this data using Parquet file format, or even if you just want to go with Delta, then also you can just go with Delta. So you will just put this data somewhere in the one lake. Then you will just simply transform this data using this one lake. Oh, then you will load this data. Okay. So Ansh, Lamba, this is also ETL. This is not ELT. This is ELT, because here you have 2L: extract, load, and then transform, and then load. Make sense? This is the newer approach with the bigger data size. Okay. This is the newer approach. Here you are not directly pulling the records and directly just starting transforming the data. No, you will first of all dump the data somewhere. First of all, you will get some advantage. The data size will be compressed. It can be compressed up to 5 times, which is a big deal, actually. And then you will just read the data from the one lake, and then you will just perform all of the things. What is the advantage? Because even if the transformation, let's say this transform layer fails in the middle, it can fail. It does not need to again pull the billions of records. It just needs to read this data from the data lake. And you do not need to put stress on this particular SQL database engine again. Oh, because this particular step is straightforward. You just need to dump the data, right? So you can literally dump the data first of all, and then you can just transform the data, and then you can just load it again. So this is called ELT. It is not ELT. Ideally it is ELTL, but people just call it as, let's say, ELT. But ideally it is ELTL. Cool. So these are the two terminologies that you should be aware of. And now let's see how we can just perform everything in Fabric. So here we have a long list of activities. First of all, here you can just do so much of stuff. But let's say we want to migrate the data, because that is one of the key things in ETL or ELT. We extract the data, we move it somewhere. Cool. Remember ELT or extract and load. So when we are building extract and load pipeline, which is the modern day standard, because nowadays we 99.99% of the time deal with big data. So when you are dealing with big data, you just need to perform EL first of all, extract and load. So extract and load means you want to migrate the data, or not like real migration. It is a kind of copying the data from one place to another, but we call it as data migration. Right? So here, if you just want to copy the data, we have a special activity in the Fabric. It's called copy activity. So if I just, let's say, want to add any activity, so I can have some shortcuts here as well, but let's say I do not want to use shortcuts. Go to activities and you will see this copy data. So in the copy data, you have two things: add a copy job or copy data activity. What is the difference between two? We'll just talk about it, but let's start with copy data because this is the standard and this is the most traditional method that we use with any kind of data copy. Copy data. So here it means that I can literally copy data from anywhere and I can dump data to anywhere, right? But just tell me one thing. This is copy data. This is just an activity. This is just Fabric's own activity, right? How will it know my sources? Because my source can be literally anything. Let's say I have my data in API. Let's say I have my data in the SQL. Let's say I have my data in S3, right? It can be anything. So how it will just be able to talk to this thing? Because this doesn't have any kind of permissions, bro. So here comes the concept of connections. Okay. Here comes the concept of connections. Now, what are connections? If you are coming from the Azure background, connection is exactly same as linked service. Ansh, Lamba, do you know what? We do not know Azure and you do not need to give advantage to Azure users. So simply talk about Fabric. Okay, cool. So connection is just like a connection. Let's say if I just say, are you connected to internet? You will say, yeah. So how you are connected? So you just simply, let's say you are just connected to Wi-Fi, you will simply say I clicked on Wi-Fi icon, my mobile's Wi-Fi was turned on. Then I just search for the router that I have. Then I just put the password and I was connected. Similarly, you need to put the name of the source that you want to connect. Let's say API, SQL, S3. Then you would need to provide some configuration like password, location, access, everything. Once it is done, you are also connected. Oh, and once you are connected, then you can just pull the data from those sources. Simple. You first need to build this connection. We are not talking about how you will dump the data. We will just talk about it. But first of all, you need to understand how you will bring the data. Make sense? Cool. And here you can have literally any source. And yes, in our scenarios, we'll be just using so many you can say sources and so many scenarios with those sources. So you do not need to worry. So let's say, first of all, I want to create the connection and to which source I want to create the connection. So in this example, let's say I want to bring the data from, let's say, OneLake. Let's say I have some data in OneLake and I just want to bring that data. Or let's say I want to bring data from API. Let's learn the real world scenarios directly because you will learn by doing it. So let's learn that. Okay. So let's say you want to bring the data from the API. And you would know that we just bring the data from the APIs a lot. It can be API, let's say, for your normal application. It can be API for some hosted databases as well. It can be API or let's say a kind of SQL data hosted on server and you are accessing data from the APIs. It can be, in case of Oracle databases, it can be the scenario. So now what I will do, I will simply connect this particular activity with an API, right? So now you will say, Ansh, Lamba, do you have API? Yes, I do have one API. I will just use that API and I will bring the data from that API. And here I'll be using my GitHub API because in the GitHub, I will just upload some files. And from that GitHub, I will just pull the files, okay? Or basically just one file initially. And then I will just show you how you can just actually create the connection. Okay, let's see. So this is my GitHub repository where I have put some data, and do not worry, you will also get the link. So let's say we want to ingest this data first of all, which is bookings.csv file. And in order to ingest this data, you first need to understand how we can get the URL of this file. Click on this file and you will land on this page. And this is not the URL that you need. You first need to click on the raw button just to get only the response as your data. Okay, otherwise you will get some web page components as well. Let's say paragraph, heading, blah, blah, blah. You do not need that. So this is the URL that you need. Remember this thing, okay? With .githubusercontent.com domain. Simple. So let me just copy this URL and let me just come here. So I have simply picked this name for my copy activity, copy API data. You can just pick any name. And when you just click here, you have some option to provide the description. If you want to provide, usually we do not provide it, but if you want to, you can. Activity state is activated, and you can even say deactivated. When we use this option, when we have like so many activities and we are testing some things, we can even deactivate this thing. Okay, so this is activated. This is timeout. Timeout means, let's say you are just copying some data and you know that your data should be copied by 1 hour max, and if it is like keep on running and running and running, it is not failing, it is like keep on running. You will not get the error that this activity is failed, but still it is running. So this is the timeout option, that it is saying that activity should automatically be timed out after 12 hours, right? If you just want to say 6 hours, you can even say 0.6. If you just want to say 1 hour, you can say 0.1. So it's up to you. Simple. Okay, cool. So enable retries, if you just want to add the retries, if let's say there's some connectivity error, if there's let's say connectivity issue, server error, then it should just automatically retry as well, which is a good thing. You can say enable retry, and you can add let's say 3 retries, which is the standard practice, right? And this is the retry interval. That means if any activity fails, it will retry that particular activity after 30 seconds of interval. It will not immediately retry, it will just wait for 30 seconds, because if there's a network issue, it can stay for let's say a few seconds, and then again it will just retry it. Simple. Cool. Now just go to let's say advanced. We do not have much stuff in advanced, so it is just for let's say if you're using some secrets, if you're just using some sensitive data, you can simply pick secure output, but in our case it is not the case. So just click on the source. So here is the connection. So if you just click on this drop down, you do not have anything, right? So if you say browse all, and then you will get the window where you can actually pick what exactly you want to pick as your source. So by default, you will get some one lake catalog as well, but you do not have anything, so that is why you are not seeing anything. So let's go to new sources, and here we have some sources by default, but I just want to pick any other thing. So here are all of the connectors that we have. Simple. So here you need to just look for the connector called HTTP. Yeah, HTTP, because from there you can just call the data and you can just bring the data. You can even use REST, which is for REST APIs, but whenever we use REST API, we use it with REST APIs when we are just expecting the response in JSON format. But here we are simply making an HTTP request, so simply go with HTTP. Okay, so here it is asking for the URL, like it is saying like what is the URL I should use. So here, if you remember, I copied this thing, so this is the full URL. I do not need to use the entire URL. I just create connection to the source, and like what is the source here? The source is only GitHub. So I just need to pick the content till .com, because GitHub is my source. GitHub is the thing that I just need to use for my connection. That's it. And it is saying connection. So create new connection because you do not have existing connection. Connection name. Let's give a good name. Let's say GitHub connection. Data gateway none. Authentication kind is anonymous because our GitHub repository is publicly available, so that is fine. If you pick basic, then obviously you need to provide some user and password that you would have picked for your API. For example, if I say basic, it will say username and password, but we do not have that thing, so it is fine. So simply say anonymous and privacy level none, and you can simply say connect. So now this will connect your fabric with your GitHub source. Simple. So this is done. Now, if you would just look at the current configuration, you would see that it has a few things. What are those things? First of all, connection. The connection name is this one. That is fine. GitHub connection and fabric pipeline. That is fine. Relative URL, because we have created the connection only. This is the connection. Connection means the source. Remember, I told you connection is just with the source. But within that connection, what is the data we need to pull? What is the data set we need to use? So for that, we use a relative URL. Relative URL means all of the URL content after .com, like all of the routes that we have. So if I just pick here, this thing. So here I just need to remove everything before .com, and this will become my, see, this is the URL that is here. Let me just remove HTTPS as well. That's it. So this is my relative URL. Cool. Everything after .com. And what is the file format in our case? It is not binary, it is CSV. So simply pick CSV.
and delimited text, because CSV is just like delimited text. And here if you just click on advanced, you can even pick the API method, like how you want to just call the API. We just want to use get method. There are 4 major methods: get, post, put and delete. These are very similar to CRUD operations that we perform on database: create, read and update and delete. Yeah. Oh, so get is like equivalent to read. Simple. We do not have additional headers, we do not have request body, we do not have anything, so we are good. Okay, perfect. Even if you just click on settings, you will get some settings related to what is the delimiter. In our case it is comma, so by default it uses comma. Now the destination, the most important thing. Our data source is connected. That means now this copy data activity can pull the data from the source and can dump the data to the location. But where is the destination? Where's the destination? There is no destination, right? Because we do not have anything. So let's create our destination by going to workspace. Okay, and before that I can just save my work so that I have this particular progress. Okay, so I will simply say save, and it will simply say deactivate activities. Yeah, so simply deactivate and simply say save, because we just want to save it, we do not want to run it. So simply deactivate and then save it. So now this work is saved. Now go to your workspace and then let's create one destination. Let's say we want to save our data in a lakehouse. So simply say lakehouse and sample, no, simple. So I will simply name it as, let's say, hotels. Okay, let's say this is our hotels lakehouse, and I can also use LH, and I need lakehouse schemas. Yes, so simply say create. So this is the lakehouse that we have picked to store our data as well, because within the lakehouse we get something called as one lake. Remember that one lake is automatically created with your workspace, but within workspace we need something which can actually hold the data, right? So lakehouse is the thing which will direct all the data to the one lake, and you will see it with your eyes right now as well. So within the lakehouse we have two things: tables and files. Tables and files. So this is a very popular concept, lakehouse. Lakehouse means that you can even create tables. Okay, let's say these are your tables, and data can reside in your data lake, and in this case it is one lake. Simple. So this is that particular area. But here with lakehouse we also get one feature where we can only dump the files without creating the tables on top of it. I hope it makes sense. Cool. Because that's where you just apply the concept called external tables. You can just store the data in the file section, and then you can just create the tables on top of it. Again, we are not discussing lakehouses in Fabric. If you want to learn lakehouses, I think I have a separate course on that, which is called, I think, Fabric Data Engineer. So there we have discussed a lot about lakehouses and Spark, but here we are discussing only the pipelines. So you just need to treat your lakehouse as your destination. Simple. So here in the files I can just have something, and in the tables I have dview schema. I can even create a new schema, let's say raw. I want to dump my data in the raw schema. Cool. Perfect. So here now let's go to our pipeline again, and in this pipeline, first of all let's activate this, then go to destination. So here I will just create one more connection. So let's click on browse all, and here I will simply pick fabric item, because lakehouse is a fabric item, not an external item, right? Lakehouse, and let's use the workspace, this one, and name new lakehouse. No, we already have one lakehouse. So I will simply say one catalog. So simply pick this lakehouse because you already have one, so I don't want to create a new one. Pick this one, and this is a lakehouse. So here when you pick the lakehouse, it will automatically set the connection because it is an internal object. Plus it will give you both the options where you want to write the data, in the form of tables or in the form of files. In both the scenarios, data will reside in the one lake. Remember, this is a table. Let's say this is a table, right? And this is the actual data location. Data will reside here for sure in case of tables and in case of files, obviously. But in case of tables, this table definition will just point this, you can say point to this particular data. Okay. Again, this is a lakehouse concept. Again, data engineering fundamentals. So root folder is tables, and here I can just pick the tables, and tables will be, let's say, let's pick raw schema. So it will take some time. You can even say refresh, And let's wait a little bit. And if it takes longer, you can also say enter manually, because that is also good. Simply say raw, and table name I want to say, let's say bookings. Simple, bookings. And now table action. How you want to add this data, because you are storing the data directly in the lakehouse, so it is not just a file. So if you just want to store the data in table, you have three options. Append, that means if you have some new files, it will simply append the data to the new rows. If you say override, then it will simply override the new data and replace the existing one. Upsert means that it will compare like which data is new and which data is already existing. If the data is already there, it will not do anything. It will simply update that data. And if data is not there, it will insert it. This concept is called upsert. Click here. This is actually a very good thing. And here we need to obviously pick the key columns. The key columns will be your booking ID, which is the primary key of the table. Cool. Perfect. We can also say advanced, apply V order, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, perfect. We can also say preview data if you just want to preview the data before loading it. It's fine, but it's good. It is saying failed. Wow. Why? Table, delta table snapshot does not exist because table is actually not there. So obviously. So simply say mappings. We are good with the mappings. So you can even say import schemas just to make sure the mappings are good. Because whenever you are just copying the data from one location to another, you can actually decide like what columns do you need. And if you need any kind of, you can say type conversion, if all the data is in the string format as it is, you can even change the data type as well. Let's say booking ID from string to integer, you can. Perfect, but we do not need to perform anything for now, so everything is good. So this is my simple copy activity. Now if I just want to run this activity, you can simply say run, or even before you can save it just to save the progress, and then I will simply run this pipeline. So what will happen, this whole pipeline where we just have one activity will run and it will perform copy activity. See, so here in this area, you see all of the status, all of the progress that your pipeline has made. In our case, it is still running. So it will simply say in progress. If it fails, it will show that it failed. If it is succeeded, it will show it is succeeded. Simple. And you can even see the output of it. And if you just want to see output, you can just click on this button, which is here. Okay. Behind my, this circle. So this is the output. And I can see that data read is 5185, data written 8580, files read 1, source connection, and blah, blah, blah. All of the things. Rows copied 120, right? Copy duration 14 seconds. Perfect. If I now go to my lakehouse, if I just go to my workspace, and this is my lakehouse, click here. And if you just expand this raw, you will see this bookings table. Wow. So you have successfully loaded the data directly from the API into your lakehouse. See, it was so simple. Now, if you just expand on this, you will simply see all the columns. And if you just click on these three dots, and if you just go to properties, okay, and if you just scroll down, you will see the URL, which is very important. See, URL means the location of this particular data. If I hover over this, I will see that this is the workspace, and then hotels lakehouse dot tables, then the raw, then bookings. So this is the location of my data. Oh, okay. Makes sense. And if you just scroll down, if you see the ABFSS path, ABFSS is basically a protocol that we use with data lake, especially with Azure data lake storage. So if you just try to read it, you will get the entire URL. That means it is a proof that all of your data is actually stored in the container called pipeline workspace. Because with ABFSS protocol, we always write ABFSS and then container name at the rate storage name, then our domain, then within that our object. So object is hotels lakehouse dot lakehouse, then tables folder, then row folder, then bookings folder. So this is nothing but basically an abstraction layer built on top of your data lake. That is it. So what is the scenario? So see, your table, this bookings data, you are just seeing this table, right? But this is not the exact or traditional table. This is just the abstraction layer built on top of your data lake, where the data lake has this structure. So first of all, it has the container called your pipeline workspace. Okay. And within that, it has folder. Which folder? It has lakehouse. Okay. Then it has folder tables. Then it has folder raw. Then it has folder bookings. and within that folder your data is saved. Wow. Yes, within that folder. And this particular entire location is managed by Fabric. That is why it is written type equals to manage. That means it is not an external table. External table is the table when you create the table using your own location. It can be, let's say, ADLS location, or it will be, let's say, location here in the file section. Make sense? That is like obviously a different topic, but I want you to have some basic understanding. It's not just like you are just learning how to build pipelines, so you should not have basic understanding. You should have, right? Cool. So that is all about your simple copy activity that you have learned right now. Was it helpful? Obviously. And the feature that I love about this particular pipeline is upsert, because if you are coming from the data engineering background already, you would know that in order to perform upserts, we have to write our own logic using Delta library to just compare the data, and then we just perform upserts on our own. Again, it is not a rocket science. It is very easy to implement, but still we are just saving some time, right? We are not just implementing that logic again and again. So obviously it is a big deal. It is just saving some time. And that is why data engineering is becoming more and more easy day by day in terms of implementing those redundant topics, redundant concept, upserts, incremental loading, CDC, those are like fully automated now. So those headaches are gone, right? Cool. Now we need to learn something special and more advanced in our, you can say, Fabric. So what exactly is that thing that we are just going to learn? So now I want to talk about control flow in Fabric Data Factory, which is very important, which is the heart of any pipeline structure, What is this thing, Ansh, Lamba? So basically, let's say we just performed how we can just pull the data from the APIs, right? Pull the data from the APIs, and we can just store, and we use Fabric. Okay. And we just store the data in the lakehouse. Cool. So this was the task that we performed with this activity. Simple. But you know what? We want to now perform this activity multiple times, because if you would remember that I have so many files, I have total 3 to 5 files, right? So if I want to load all the data, all the files, what I will do, if I do not have any knowledge of control flow, I will literally copy this pipeline multiple times, right? How many files do I have? If they're like 2 to 3 files, it is fine. But let's say you have 50 files, 20 files, 30 files, 100 files. It can be the case. So will you do this thing? If yes, slow claps. Not at all. You just use control flow. Control flow is a very fancy word for loops and conditions. So basically what you will do, you will simply build this pipeline and you will parameterize the entire pipeline. And this concept is not very easy to implement for beginners. Okay, so just put some extra efforts here. So what we do, we simply parameterize the pipeline. So what will happen? Instead of hard coding the information, let's say if I am saying, hey, I want to ingest the data from this exact file, I will create a variable there. For example, if I just look at this pipeline, current pipeline. So let's say this is my pipeline, basic pipeline. And if I just go here in the source, this is my relative URL. Okay, because obviously connection will remain the same, API will remain the same, files within that will change, obviously. Common sense, bro. So let's say this is the first URL, right? Okay, and I'm just trimming the URL just for the ease. So let me just remove this thing. Okay, so let's say this is the first URL. And if I just go to the second URL, what will be the URL? The URL will become, let's say, I think hotels. Yeah, hotels.csv and so on. There are multiple files. Now, what if I can parameterize this particular thing? Because this thing is changing again and again. If I write X, variable X, right? And I can just pass the array to this variable. Let's say if I say bookings.csv, then I can say hotels.csv and literally anything. How long it will take to create this array? 2-3 minutes. That's it. Will it save resources? Obviously. Will it just make your design more clear? Obviously. Will it just make your pipeline scalable? Obviously. So we can just define a parameter here and we can pass the array like this. And what we will do after this, we will simply run a loop on this particular pipeline. We'll simply say, hey, this is our pipeline and we want to run a for loop. Let's say for I in X, and we want to perform this thing again and again. Wow. Can we do that? Yes. Yes, sir. So this is the thing that we just want to achieve. Does that make any sense? We'll simply take for loop, okay, the simple for loop, and then we will simply say, hey, run this pipeline again and again, and X is our array, and we will use the X items inside this pipeline because our API URL will be parameterized, our lakehouse will be parameterized. Wow, this is the concept. Wow, this is the concept. So now let's implement this thing. Okay, so what I will do, I will literally let's make the changes here, or let's create a new pipeline. Not a big deal because we are using free resources for 60 days. Let's use it. So now I will simply go to my workspace and I will clone this particular pipeline. So I will click here. Let me just open the workspace. So this is the workspace. Let me just say clone. Where's the clone? Where's the clone? Copy paste, anything? Bro, don't tell me that you do not have clone. Should you move to blah blah blah? I think they have. I think they have. What? How do I clone? I just do copy paste a lot. What? Is there any other button? Let me just check. Move to select. Let me just do a quick research. I think I have found it. So just click on these three dots. I think there was a special option for clone or copy. I'm so sure, but I was just checking something. So if you just click on save as, then you can just create a new copy. I think let's try it. Let's say loop. Okay, let's say save. Let's see if it works. I'm not sure because I just saw save as and it was just creating this thing. So if I just open my workspace, if not, then I have to create the, yeah, it worked. So it was just a workaround. Okay, Fabric team, please add clone button, please, just a request. So this is my new pipeline. So this is our activity. So now obviously we need to use the same activity but with control flow. So whenever we want to create a control flow, we first of all need to create an array. There are multiple ways to create arrays. Okay, there are two major ways which are used in the industry. Let me just tell you. First of all, using the parameters. Okay, this is the first thing, which is good. Second way is using JSON files or configuration files stored in the data lake. Okay, both works because the intent is very clear. We just want to save the array that we can just pass to the for loop. Simple. Here let's see how we can just use the parameters. So if you just click on the blank canvas, you will see the parameters option and we can create the parameter here. Let's create the parameter, let's say files. Okay, and this will be my array. So this is the array and I can just create a list. So first of all, the list will be bookings.csv, and then I have hotels.csv. Make sure that there is no typo at all because it will be using the exact same value for the loop. And let me also check it before telling you. So where is my GitHub repository? I think, yeah, here. So I have files. So I have bookings, hotels and rooms. Okay, cool. So let's say rooms. Rooms.csv. Simple. And I will just close the array. This is my array. Simple. I hope you can create an array, right? And I hope you know the array. So this is my array or list. Simple. So this is my parameter, right? So what I will do, I will just bring one new activity and just go to activities and click on these three dots and click on control flow, or you can even search it here. So it will be like for each. For each means for loop. Okay. And in the for each, it will ask, first of all, rename. I will simply say for each file. In the settings, I have two options, sequential and batch count. If I just tick on sequential, that means it will just copy my data one by one. Is it required? In some cases, yes, when you do not want the concurrent processing, but when you want to ingest the data concurrently, you need to uncheck this box so that it can concurrently ingest the data. And this is the batch count. Batch count means maximum number of parallel runs on the inner activities. Inner activities means whatever will be running inside this for loop. Okay, so let's say I just want to ingest 10 activities at a time, so I will simply say batch count 10. And if I have, let's say, like size of arrays, like let's say 20 is not 10, so it will just treat that particular iteration as a second batch. So next 10 activities, like this. Because obviously, let's say you have the array size of 1000 and you will say I want to achieve true parallelism, I will simply write 1000 and it will ingest all the data together. That sounds very good in paper, but in reality, when you do the work, you should not just simply the 1000 parallel activities. The ideal batch size is like between 50 to 100. Again, you can just I would say read some community posts, like what is the ideal size people are like experiencing, and you can just go with that particular thing. It is like, again, trial and test method, simple. So usually batch count 50 works, but more than that, you have to test, you have to just face some errors, and then you would know how to just make it better. That's how it works, right? Because it is what it is. So I'll simply say items. Now items is the area where I just want to provide the you can say array. So I'll simply say add dynamic content, and I will just pick the dynamic content. Dynamic content means something called as, which is like, you can obviously hard code it, but this is something that you can just use to provide some dynamic values. Wow. See, you created the parameter. Now let's say you just want to use that parameter. So that way you have a special window called expression builder. Here you write the expressions. Do not worry, you will just writing so many expressions here. So yeah. So here I have this parameter. I will simply say files. Simple. So this is my array that I want to pick. Cool. Simply say okay. So this loop has now all of the values of the array. So what I will do, I will just copy the cut this activity, click on this pencil. So now we are inside this for each file. Just paste the copy activity here. So that means now we are inside the loop. If I just go to source, if I just go to relative URL, I am literally hard coding everything. Do I need to hard code everything? Not at all. So what do I need? Just open the dynamic content. Oh, so here, this was my original value. Do I need to use this value? Just tell me one thing. Not at all. Not at all. I need to use a variable in place of bookings. So here I will just use the you can say item, or basically iterated value of the loop. So if you have run any loop, let's say for I in array. So if I just want to use array's first value, how do I use it? I'll simply say array of 0. Makes sense? Not array of 0 basically. Okay, array, because array of 0 is just I. So I'll simply say I dot file name, whatever do I have, right? Let's say I itself, because in this case we just have I. I is what? Bookings, right? Or bookings.csv, whatever array we have defined. Makes sense? So here I can simply say remove this thing and simply write I. But here it does not understand what is I, because if I just write I, it will treat I as a normal string. So that is why if you have worked with f strings in Python, so we use curly braces, right? Here also we use @ and then you use, let's say, function name. So function name here will be, let's say item. Okay. This thing, item. But because I am just mixing this variable inside the string, so I have to use curly braces like this. Make sense? @item. Now this expression will give me output as this entire URL, this one. And then in place of @item, it will become the value of the first iterated value, which is bookings.csv. I hope it makes sense, right? And even if you do not remember this thing, because if you are new, you can just take help from it will just show you some possible values you can use. If you just click here, it will give you this thing, item. But this will give you the value as your expression only. But if you just want to include expression, or you can say variable, you have to use curly braces, and make sure curly braces should start after @. Okay. So original value of the, or you can say original variable is @item. But if you're just using it, you have to say at the rate and then curly braces item. I hope it is simple. Cool. So simply say okay. So now this is a dynamic content. Now that means it will simply load the data from the bookings.csv file. Okay, if you just go to main canvas, you will just go to parameters and you will see bookings.csv value is here. Simple. Click on pencil because we have one more work to do, destination. So here we are also hard coding this particular thing, table. If you're going to remember, if I say enter manually, right? And if I just call it as bookings, do I need to just create the table like all the tables as bookings? Obviously no. I will say add dynamic content, and here I will add the dynamic content which is called at the rate item. That is it. Here I can simply write at the rate item, or I can also write curly braces. Both will work. Both will work because here I can just treat this thing as a string as well and without it as well, because I do not have any other string to mix with it. Okay, simply say okay, and this thing as well. Now this is the most important thing. Now the key column is not same. Yes, key column is not the same. So here you can add dynamic content as well for booking ID, but the thing is I do not have the same booking ID for each file. So for that particular scenario, I have to define the primary key of each file in the array itself. Obviously, that's why it is called metadata driven pipeline. That's why it is called configuration driven pipeline, right? So here you can just do this thing, or initially you can even remove it if you just want to perform first of all this ingestion. After that we can just define that array as well. Okay, so simply this time say files, and here let's pick the directory. So first of all we want to create a directory. I will simply say raw, and file name will become your item. Simple. And what is the file format I want? I want, let's say Parquet. Simple. Do we have delta as well? No. Okay, Parquet is fine. Advanced, it's fine. So let's go with this thing first of all. Once it is done, then we will just see how we can add the primary key as well in the array, because you need to grow step by step. So this is our pipeline finally. Cool. Okay, was it helpful? Yes, yes, yes. So now let's run the pipeline, and I can also save this first of all, because saving the work is very, very important. Cool. So let's say run, bro, run. Okay, so while running the data, every time it asks for the parameters, basically all the variables or parameters, because it will be passed during runtime. So that is why it confirms like, okay, I'm just running your pipeline. Are you confirmed with this data? Are you confirmed with this your array? I will say yes, I am. So simply say okay. Running successfully, running loop. So now what you will see in the output section, you will see that it will run both the things one by one, or basically concurrently, because we have set up the concurrent run. That's why you are seeing both the ingestion together, see, or like all the three ingestion queued, because it is simply allocating the resources. Once the resources are allocated, you will see like data will be processing together. Makes sense? One is failed, very good. Not a big deal. We should see errors. That's how we grow. And one succeeded. That means there's a typo in our array. I'm so sure about it, because 2 failed, 1 succeeded. Let's see what is the issue. If I go to, okay, so it is saying column booking ID specified in the column mapping. Okay, very good thing. Very good. Actually good that I just saw this error. So what is the error, by the way? Ansh, Lamba, you didn't even read the error. Just first of all read it. Bro, I know what is the error, because I have seen this error multiple times. Because whenever we are developing something in a development layer, we make this mistake a lot. So if I just go to mapping, why I have enabled mapping? I should not enable mapping. Yeah, makes sense, because what this copy activity will try to do, this will every time try to map this particular schema with the files, which is not true. And when we ingest the data with multiple files, usually we do not perform mapping at all. In some scenarios we do, and we will just take care of that scenario as well, which is called dynamic mapping, dynamic schema mapping. But in this scenario we do not need to perform, and in 90% of the scenarios you will not perform mapping. Make sense? So let's say reset, and we do not need any kind of mapping, so simply delete, and that's it. Now if you just run this thing, now it should just work fine, I think so. If there is any other error, we will simply try to resolve it. So simply go to your home button and then simply first of all cancel the existing run, because what was happening, it was simply retrying my pipeline. Remember, we had retry policy set up, so that's why it was just failed, then it retried, then failed, then retried, then failed, then retried. Thanks to retry policy. Perfect. So now if I just go to main canvas, I can just see so many red, but it is fine. If you are building pipeline, if you are new in the world of pipelines, let me just tell you one thing. These errors are so common. So if you are worried about these errors, bro, just a quick info for you or for your journey, that if you are building pipelines or data engineering workflows, we spend 80% of the time just debugging the errors, okay? And only 20% of the time we just write the code. Because data engineering is not like you build a DAX and you just build visualization and you are just changing the color. It's not like that. It is actually because I always say, like, data engineering is actually software engineering. It is not separate. It is not separate. You have to write so much of code. You have to just understand so many things. So do not feel worried or do not worry about these things, okay? I am with you. Do not worry. Simply click on run again and okay. If you see any error, if you are worried, simply say, oh, Ansh Lamba told us we do not need to worry. We see errors 80% of the time. You will feel happy. Trust me. And that's how you learn, especially in data engineering. If you're not seeing errors, you are not learning. Trust me. So now let's see if we are seeing any errors or not. I don't think so. We should see errors now because that was the only problem. But yeah, let's wait. Yeah, 2 succeeded. Third will also succeed. Makes sense. Let's refresh. Refresh. I think third file is big. Yeah, now all are done. I can see all succeeded and my pipeline is also completed. Now if I just go to my, let's say, lakehouse, click on this tab because we have some tabs here as well. Good thing. Wow. If I just go to files, if I first of all refresh this file section, I should see raw folder and I should see all the 3 files. You will say, Ansh Lamba, nothing. Click on this folder. You will see all the files. Wow. So we have loaded the data. Yes. Wow. Nice. Cool. If we just go back to a loop, okay. If I just open this pencil button, if I just go here, if I just go to destination, I will say that Ansh Lamba, you said parquet, and why it is .csv? Just tell me this thing. Let's see who will answer this question in the comment section. Let's see. The correct answer is you are defining CSV part, CSV extension in the you can say name as well. So see, this is your item, and item value is what? Bookings.csv, items.csv, not item, like rooms.csv. So you are telling that I want CSV data. That is why. So obviously we need to change the array because we need to learn how we can just set the array or change the array. So what I will do, I will now just make it a little bit complex because we need to level up with every section. Okay. So parameters. So here, this parameter will change. How? Let me just tell you what will be its value. So here, let me just paste this value first of all. So this was like a very simple array, which is not very helpful, to be honest, because when we need to build metadata driven pipelines, we create multiple keys, multiple key value pairs. Okay. Now in this list, instead of passing the raw array, I will create dictionaries. So first of all, like this, let's say my list will have like this dictionary, and the first key will be file name, or let's say file. The value will be bookings.csv, or let's say bookings, because we do not want any CSV extension. And second value, which will be, let's say, your key, right? Key is what? Booking ID, right? Very good. This is my first dictionary. Second dictionary will have the same stuff, but with different values. Okay, let's say like this. And here it will become rooms, and this will become my room ID. Make sense? The third value will become I think hotels, and this will become my hotel ID. You can even confirm by looking at the data, but I think this is the value. So now this is the array. Oh, this is the array. This is the array we now need to use. Let's first of all confirm our values. So if I just go to hotels, hotel ID, very good. Rooms and room ID, perfect. So now we have this value. So now if I just go to my fabric, I will just chain this array with this one. First of all, now obviously we need to chain the inner activity as well, because currently if I just go to this dynamic content, I am using item as a destination. First of all, let's go to source, because this is complex. So first of all, we have item, but in the item, what do we have now? We do not have bookings.csv. We have a dictionary. We have this dictionary with bookings.csv as file and primary key as my booking ID. So I have now dictionary object. So I will use dot notation, item dot file. Oh, dictionary, like how to access dictionary, like this, item dot file. So this is my value now instead of directly writing item. Make sense? Very good. Simply say okay. If I go to destination, and here I will simply say item dot file, because item is a dictionary now. Perfect. And here I do not want to write into files now. I want to simply write into tables. So here I will simply say item dot file, which is the name only. That's it. And what will be the primary key? I will simply say the primary key will be item dot key. Does that make any sense? Yes, a lot. Simple. Let's try to save it and let's try to see if it works or not. Simple. And if I click on run, let's try to run it. So this is like advanced version of using parameters, or I would say more realistic version, because in reality we create key value pairs like this instead of directly passing the raw array with so many values, right? So let's see if it works or not. Failed. Very good. What is the error? Table action option is invalid. Room ID. What do you mean table action option? Let me just check. So if I just go to copy activity, and here table action is room ID. Okay, we have room ID, right? Oh, wait. I think error is something else. So if I just check, here is hotel ID. Okay. Table action option. Okay. This is booking ID. So primary key is nice. Like it is fine. And first of all, let me just cancel the flow. So if I just go to destination, table action. Oh, I see. Oh, I just put table action as upsert. Like I just put the value in the table action instead of key columns. So I have to just pick key columns, and then column name will become my key. Makes sense. Makes sense. Silly mistake. Let's say save, and let's trigger the pipeline again. Perfect. I was like, what is wrong, bro? What is wrong? So now let's refresh it. Now let's see if it works or not. I think so. It should work. I think so. Okay, queued. In progress. Okay, now it is working. Fail. Very good. Now what is the issue? With client not found. Ends with this. If you configured a base URL that includes path, I think now the error is something else. I think it is just looking for some base URL. Oh, I know the error. Yes, I know the error. So the error is very simple. Ansh, Lamba, what are you doing? See, I can even edit these things, but I do not want to, because I don't want to show you glorified image of data engineering that we just build the pipelines and we deploy it and we just go to production. This is not the case. We have to build the pipelines. We have to debug it. We have to resolve the errors. That's how you build pipelines. I just want to show you the reality. That's it. So if I just go to my URL, I think the thing is, currently I have simply provided the file name. But what is the extension? Extension is .csv. So this part was missing. So it was not actually able to find that particular location. So I think that is good now. Let's save it. Now let's run it again. Okay, cool. So now and obviously you should also feel like you are sitting in the live classroom. Like that is the way you actually understand and retain the concepts. You will know, oh, I built this pipeline, I faced this issue, and I know how to debug it. How? Because you have faced this issue, that's why only you can remember it as well. If you have not faced the issues, you cannot remember the things, right? Okay, more. Now what? Now it is saying that, okay, now this time the error is different. Let's read the error. Convert the value hotel ID in the key properties to system collection generic list. Okay. And the same error is here as well, I guess. Value ID. Okay. Convert the value room ID in the key properties column, this thing. Okay. Key column and blah blah blah. I think okay, makes sense. So what it is saying right now, it is simply saying that we are not able to convert that particular value because it is treating that value as, I think, hard coded value in the upsert. How we can just fix it? Let me show you. First of all, let me just stop this thing. So now it is stopped. Okay, now compute will not be wasted. So let's try to debug it. So here, what do I think after looking at the error? So they are simply saying that they are expecting a list, which is, I think, very common thing whenever we are just defining the key columns. Not every time you will have only one column for the key column. They can be like multiple columns. It's called composite primary key. So I think inbuilt, because this is not like manual way, this inbuilt, they have defined like, in order to just call multiple columns for the upsert, you have to pass a list of columns, right? So what I can do, I can just go to parameters and I can fix that thing here by simply passing the list like this. And in the key, instead of string, I will simply say list. So wherever we have primary key as our string, we have to convert it into a string list. Simple. So as you can see, bookings will remain string, but key will become the list instead of your string. I hope it makes sense. Let's see if it works, because what is the thing? Parameter value should be a valid array. So I think we just missed, I think, one array or something. Let me just copy it and paste it here in my this thing. Okay. So this is our current structure. Okay, makes sense. So currently it has, okay, everything is fine. We just need to use the double quotes, obviously, because inside the list, the value is string. So I hope you are getting my point. We just need to convert it into a list and let's see if it works. And this is, I think, newly added feature like upsort. Earlier it was like in preview. So there were already so many errors. So let me just copy this thing. Let's paste it. And let's paste it here. Perfect. So now let's close it. Let's validate. Perfect. Save. And then we can just run it. Perfect. Let's see if it works. Or if not, then obviously we need to debug it together. Let's wait. And I hope that you have the clear array as well, like how it is actually doing the work. So in progress. Like the root error is this one. Obviously, in order to fix it, hey, green. Told you, bro. Told you. So this is fixed, and now we can just go to our hotels. And if I just refresh this thing, raw schema, we should see 3 tables. Bookings and 2 more, because bookings was already there, and obviously it upserted the data using booking ID. I hope it makes sense. That's how you can just create the tables dynamically with control flow within Fabric. Okay. Now I want to show you an amazing activity which is very, very popular. And this activity name is lookup. What is this lookup? So if let's say you want to store some data into your data lake. Okay, let's say you have your data lake. Let's bring data lake, ADLS. You can even store the data in your OneLake as well, but here we'll be using data lake because we want to learn how to integrate your Azure data lake or any other data lake with Fabric, right? So you will learn that as well. So let's say you have this data lake, and within this data lake you have saved one file, let's say JSON file. Perfect. And we do this thing a lot in order to build our pipelines. So we save our configurations in the data lake just to save safely handle it, okay, for production scenarios. So we just want to configure everything in the JSON files within the data lake, right? So now what we will do, let's say within our pipeline that we have built, let's say this was our pipeline. I want to use this particular, you can say file within this pipeline. Oh, so in order to do that, we have to use a special activity called lookup. Okay, without that you cannot use this thing. Make sense? So this is called lookup activity. Lookup. Okay, lookup. So this will simply read the data from your data lake, and what it will return? It will return the content of it. So let's say I can save this particular configuration, and it can save any, like I can save anything, but it is more aligned with our current approach. And we can just take an example of that so that you can just understand it. So let's say you want to save this data inside your JSON, and you want to read this content directly from your data lake instead of reading it from the parameters. So for that scenario, you use something called as lookup activity. Simple, cool, very good. So how we can just configure it? So you will simply go to your Fabric, and here, where is our Azure? So here is our Azure. So here what we will do, we will simply go to our resource groups and we'll search Fabric pipelines. Perfect. And here I will create one storage account. Okay, so let's create one storage account. Click on create and simply search, what do you want, bro? Simply search storage account, hit enter, click here and click on create, and perfect. So here you should just confirm that your resource group is the same. Okay, storage account name, you can just pick any name. Let's say Fabric Ansh. First of all, this name is already taken because no, the reason is not like there are so many Ansh, because I have created, I think, the storage account, I remember. So you cannot just pick the same name, because storage account name should be unique throughout the Azure network. I will simply say Fabric Ansh DL, that means data lake, and region is fine, you can just pick any region. Preference storage type, I will simply say Azure blob storage or data lake storage. Redundant, I would say LRS, I'm good with that. Then simply say next. Click on enable hierarchical namespace, because this will convert this particular storage account into data lake, otherwise it will remain as blob storage. The reason, the difference between blob storage and data lake is not much. The reason is very simple. You can just create hierarchical folders within your storage account, right? To better manage your files. It speeds up the data analytics thing as well, because it can directly look into the folders to just fetch the data. Okay, simple. And yeah, everything else is fine. Simply say review plus create. So this will create this storage account within a few seconds. Simply say create. Now you need to store some data within the storage account. So here you would need to create one JSON file as well. Let me just create one JSON file. So here I can just copy the content that we want in the JSON file. So this is the JSON file that I want. And here what I will do, I will simply say, let's say config.json. And whenever you're creating a JSON file, you have to start with something called as curly braces. Then you have to pick a key, let's say configs. Let's say configs. You will say, Ansh, Lamba, where are you writing all this? Here, let me just show you. Wait. So this is my config.json. So let me just put the content here. So this is the, oh wow. So I just copied from here. So let me just copy the text only, and content will become this thing. Perfect. So this is my content. So I have just picked one key. It is not actually required, but it keeps your, you can say, file much more structured. You can directly store the entire list within the two curly braces, but it is my recommendation to always assign one key to your entire structure. Cool, very good. So this is my file that I just want to use, and I can also upload it. So let's say I am just using Azure. So this is my storage account which is deployed. I can click on go to resource, and this will just go to containers then, and this is your storage account. How I just reached here, click on home, resource groups, okay, and then fabric pipelines, okay, then you will see the storage account. Click here, then containers, then you can just create one folder, let's say, or container, let's say raw, and within this container you can just create one folder directory, let's say config, and within that folder you can upload this data. So this folder is empty currently. Let's click on upload and let's try to drop the file here. Why it is not working? Okay, let me just drop it manually. So my file is here in the folder. Okay, so let me just quickly drop it, config.json. Make sure that it is with .json extension, and do not worry, I will even just add it in my GitHub as well, so that you can just download it. And let's do it right now because it is very important for you. Do I have yes, I have, I think. So let's give that file to you as well. Fabric pipelines, let's say add file, upload, let's say config, and perfect. Now you also have the file, so enjoy. Okay, cool. So perfect. So we have this file here and we are good to go. So now how I can just read this file, that is a good thing to learn. So let's go to our fabric, and here within our, you can say, loop, and we can now add one more activity within this. Let's call it as, let's say, new activity will be called as lookup. So go to activities and 3 dots and click on and search lookup. Simple, lookup. Perfect. So I'll simply say lookup config. Okay, this is the file name that I just want to provide. Cool. So lookup config and everything is fine. Settings. Now it will say connection, and we do not have any connection. Okay, so how we can just do it? Simply go to select. Okay, now we do not have any existing connection. You need to say browse all. Okay, now click on view more, and here you need to search for Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. Scroll down, you will just find it, or you can even search it. Let's say Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. Okay, Gen 2. Click here, and first of all we need to provide the URL. Okay, first thing first. Second thing is we need to provide the connection, blah blah blah. But here how we can just simply say browse Azure, but I will not say like click on browse Azure. You should just provide your own you can say your connection string in order to fetch the data. Okay, if you just click on browse Azure, nothing will happen. It will simply say error and all, because you do not have the permission to do that. So I will simply say cancel, and here I will write my own URL. So in order to do that, let's go to our Azure, and here in order to access this file, click on this file or click on these 3 dots. You will see properties here, and here this is a URL that you need. See, copy to clipboard. Just copy this thing and just paste it here. It is saying an exception occurred. Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2 does not support connection with blob service endpoints, blob.core URI. Please use Data Lake Storage Gen 2 with dfs.core URI instead. What is this error? What is this thing? Basically, whenever you just fetch the data with ABFSS, it will not just tell you that, it will not just give you the reliable way to access the data, because for Gen 2, because we just picked hierarchical namespace, we have to use dfs.core. For that, we use ABFSS naming convention. So, or you can say protocol. So what I will do, I will simply go back here, and here you can just close this thing first of all. Then let's go to our raw container. Let's go to settings. Let's go to properties. And here we have URL from where we can just fetch it, because I can just obviously construct that URL. It's not a big deal. So in order to construct that, the URL is very simple. So it is like ABFSS. Then you have to just provide, let's say, storage account container name is raw, right? And then raw @ storage account name. Storage account name in my case is fabric Ansh DL. Then .dfs.core.windows.net. Then you have to provide the folder path. The folder path in my case is, I think, config folder. Within that I have config.json file, right? Config or config. Simple. Let me just confirm this detail config.json file. Yeah, configuration file. So this is the URL that you just construct. This has become like a practice when you are just accessing a lot of data from Azure. So ABFSS is your protocol, Azure Blob file storage secure, and then you can just write this thing. Okay, so create new connection. Connection name will be, let's say, ADLS connection. Data gateway none. Authentication kind, this is very important. So here, how my fabric will access the data sitting in Azure data lake. This is the key of this particular section. Okay, how? So here we will simply use organizational account. Simple. Organizational account. If I pick organizational account, that means my account. This account should have the permission to access the data. Right? So what I will do now, I will simply go to my data lake, and here I will go to my raw container, and here I have to go to IAM, access control. And here, after going to access control, simply say add role assignment. And here we will simply add the role called storage blob data contributor. Simple. Click on next, and here just select members, and here you have to search for your username. Username is, I think, Fabric Pipelines. This is the account. Simply say select. Now review plus assign. Now this user has permission to access the data. Make sense? Click on review plus assign. It can take some 2 to 3 minutes to actually assign the role, but let's simply still test. But I know like it can fail because it takes some time to assign that thing, but it is fine. Okay, so now what will happen? This particular account will be used to access the data, but in production scenarios you can use service principal as well. Make sense? You can use obviously account key as well. I am not a big fan of account key and SaaS tokens, but you can just do that as well. In SaaS token, you just create a SaaS token and you just use it. Service principal is like a kind, I think workspace identity is like very good way, because in Azure network we use managed identity and identities, and workspace identity is, I think, equivalent thing. Okay, but organizational account is good for you for now. Do not worry at all. Simply say connect. Connecting to data source. Let's see what do we get. And if it fails, it can fail because if it is not assigned, then yes. So an exception occurred. Data format. The account URL is not a valid URL. Wow. So valid URL. Why it is not a valid URL? Config.json raw.fabric Ansh dl dfs.co.windows.net. The URL of ADS Gen 2 to avoid invalid credential, we were to use .dfs. Yeah, we are just using .dfs. Okay. I think we can do one more thing. We can simply provide the HTTPS URL again, because it is simply throwing this particular error with the URL. We can just bypass that particular networking thing by putting that HTTPS URL again, but with DFS instead of blob. Okay. So let's go back to our Azure. These are, see, admin level things, and you should know how to troubleshoot these things, because these are the things that actually make you a senior person. Trust me. So let's go inside our raw container and let's go to our file just to grab the exact URL. Let's say config.json properties, and just paste the same URL, and then you can just use DFS instead of blob. Okay, and connection name ADLS connection, organization account, it's fine. Connect. Let's see, because we hardly just recreate connections, we just create connections once in a year and then we just reuse those connections. We hardly configure the connections again, so that is fine. So this is lookup config. I want to deactivate this activity because I do not want to run this activity now, because I first need to run this activity. Cool. Here I have created the connection, ADLS connection, with that particular location. Right? Cool. And even if I just want to, let's say, test connection first of all, let's see if it works or not. And because we can obviously edit it, failed more. Wow. So it is saying test connection failed, called operation return invalid status, forbidden, possible root cause, that service principal manager does not have enough permission. Yeah, obviously, because it has not actually applied that particular role. It takes some time. It takes, I think, 5 to 10 minutes, but yeah, that is good. And you can even edit the connection let's say you just want to narrow down the scope, because currently we have the scope, let's say till exact file. See, currently it is pointing to exact particular file. And if you just want to, you can say connect to only this particular raw container, only till this raw container, then obviously you can just narrow down the scope and then you can also do the work. I hope it makes sense, right? So that's how you can just do. But yeah, here you have to just wait for a little so that it can just apply that particular rule in your case as well. Okay. So as I said, after some time, 15 minutes, the finally connection is successful. So it takes some time in order to provide the access. So if it still fails, you just need to wait for 15 minutes at least. Now we can just click on browse button and we can just see all of the things that we should see, right? And as we know that inside the config, we have this config file and perfect config.json. Okay, perfect, cool, right? So now do I need to recursively? No, it's fine. So first row only, not at all. You just need to uncheck this box. Otherwise you just read the first row and you will say, where is my full data? Then advanced, it's fine. So now this lookup activity will run and give us some results, and I want to show you what are the results. So first of all, let's say save, and then let's say validate. Okay, it is done. Let's say run. So here the major thing that we need to learn is the output of the lookup activity. Wow, yes, output of the lookup activity. Because once you know how this output will be returned, only then you can just use this thing in your expression builder box. Simple. And it failed. Wow, what is the issue, bro? Bad data is found at line 2 source config. Okay, makes sense. I think the JSON is not indented well, so we can just troubleshoot it. And it is a very common thing whenever we're just working with where's my data lake, JSON files, because if it is not indented, then it will just throw the errors. Let's see what is the issue. If I just go to raw config.json, edit. Oh, makes sense. So it is actually not very well indented. So let me just fix it. It is fine now. Cool. Yep. So now I have just simply refreshed and saved it directly, and cool. So now let's try to do it one more time. And if I just run this file, let's see what do we get. And if you just understood this thing, 50% of your pipelines will use this design, lookup plus for each, lookup plus for each. Really, yeah, 50%, at least 50%. Again failed. What is the thing now? Bad data is found at line 2 in source config. Okay, parse state is this one. Byte count correction. Is our JSON fine? Is our JSON fine? Let's see. Configs is the key and the value is the array. That is fine. So this is the first dictionary, this is the second dictionary, and this is the third dictionary, and this is the list. Let me just check this JSON in the JSON formatter. So I just checked it, JSON is fine. So why it is throwing the error? So wow, I just found the issue. File format delimited JSON. It is not delimited, it is JSON, bro. It is JSON. So now let's try to run it one more time. Because by default, I don't know why it just reads delimited text. It should just read, let's say, JSON by default for lookup, because we hardly use CSVs for lookups, but it is what it is. So let's wait. Let's see what do we get this time. And I hope that this time it will run fine. I hope so. In progress. Cool. Refresh. Yeah, it succeeded. So now let's try to see the output, which is the main thing of it. So this is the output of the file. And if you can just see, the entire output is actually stored under the value, or basically key called a value. Within the value, we have one dictionary, parent dictionary, which is created by data pipeline. Okay. So whenever you want to refer to this configs, we have to use value, and within that value, we have the array, and this is the very first object of that array. This is the key thing that I wanted to show you. So now if I want to, let's say, use this output in my for each, how I can just do that? You just need to connect this activity with this one. Okay. Then you need to click on this activity. Now this activity has all of the information of this activity. Whenever we connect these two activities, that means whatever output of this activity is there, we can just use it in the next activity. Okay, so I will simply click on this activity, go to settings, and instead of using parameters here, I will use the activity output. So just scroll down, you will see lookup config output, click here, and in the output we have a special key called value. Within that value we have the array of first element, right? Then we have within that called configs. This is where we have the array. This is where we have the array. We do not have array as the output directly. We have the array like this. Make sense? Simply say okay, and I can even activate this activity, save it, and let's try to run this activity. If it runs fine, then congratulations. If not, then more congratulations. You will learn more and more things. Simple. Let's run this activity and let's see what do we get. So see, everything is green. Wow. So it worked absolutely fine. And you know how we did it. Cool. So our control flow kind of is completed. Now you already seen like how you can just use this thing. So what if you want to dump your data in the Azure data lake? It's very simple. You can just click on this copy activity, and instead of just picking this lake house, you can just pick the data lake connection, and you can even dump your data in the Azure data lake as well. I hope it is clear, right? But usually we do not dump our data in Azure, but you have the options. It is not like you will always load the data to Fabric. You will even load the data from Fabric to data lake, right? So that is the way you actually perform this thing. Was it helpful? Yes. So now let's talk about an amazing concept. It is called metadata, get metadata in Fabric. So basically, let's say you have data in ADLS, okay, and you can either have a folder or you can have a file, right? Let's say you have any text file, any CSV file, anything. Let's say this one. So you can have literally anything, right? If you want to get the metadata of either a folder or a file, we have a special activity called get metadata. This helps us to give us the information about our data residing in the lake. Because sometimes while creating the pipelines, we have to just consider some scenarios where we simply read the metadata of the folder. We simply list all of the content of that folder, and we use that content in the next activity. Because as you remember, whatever the output of any activity or first activity, let's say we have the activity for get metadata. So we know that we can just use the output of this activity into the next task or next activity, right? So we can leverage this thing, or basically this activity. Make sense? Let's see how we can just perform this thing. So let's go to our loop and let's create a new pipeline. Let's create new item and let's create a new pipeline. Let's say this one. Perfect. And let's call it as, let's say, metadata. And we will also talk about if conditions. So let's say metadata if. Okay. Let's say create. So this is our new pipeline, first of all. And meanwhile, it is like creating this canvas. I can just go to my Azure data lake. And here I can go to the storage account. Inside this raw container, let's create a new container. Okay, let's say I want to create a container called data. Perfect. So inside this data container, I will create a folder. I will simply say, let's say files, and within this folder I will upload some data. So let me just upload that. So I can upload, let's say one more file called reviews. Let's say we have some reviews and we have, let's say, one more guests. Okay, let's say guests. Perfect. So I have uploaded one file guests and one more which is reviews. Simple. These two files. So obviously when we have some more files, we need to ingest this data, but we will not simply ingest it. We will simply first of all try to get the metadata of the folder. Okay, so let's see how we can just do it. So let's go to our fabric. Perfect. So this is our blank canvas. Simply pick anything. Okay, let's delete it then. Simple. So this is the area where we will just craft this pipeline. Now we need to bring an activity called get metadata. You can click here or you can search it here as well. So let's say get metadata, and here let's say get metadata folder. Simple. Here we need to pick the connection. Now if you would remember that we need to create a new connection. Why? Because we created the connection only with the container, which is raw, but data container is a new container. So we would need to create a new connection. Simple. And yes, we would also need to assign the permissions, and yeah, we have to just do it. So let's go to our Azure portal, and here if we just go to container, usually we can also assign the permissions at the entire storage account level as well, but to be honest, it's up to the requirements. If they are comfortable with assigning the access of the entire data lake, it's fine, because some teams are not. They simply create the dedicated containers for the data and that's it. So if they are, then you can just go ahead, but we will simply create the access for the container only. So I am inside data container. Go to IAM and then role assignments. Let's say first of all add role. Perfect. Then let's say storage data contributor, or data storage contributor, storage data storage data contributor, storage blob data contributor. Yeah, this one. Next, select members, and here I will simply say fabric pipelines. Perfect. So review plus sign, and as you know, it can take 10 to 15 minutes, so it is fine, not a big deal. Okay, so let's go to a fabric and let's create the connection. Okay, so let's click on this drop down and let's create a new connection, and let's say browse all, and here just search the data lake, same thing, and let's search data lake gen2. Yeah, here. So first of all, we need to get the URL. Let's go to our cloud, let's bring the URL. So in order to bring the URL, simply go to the data lake. Okay, and then go to containers and then endpoints. So here are all the endpoints. So let's pick the endpoint for data lake storage gen2 with DFS. Okay, but by default, if you just copy the file exactly, then it will give you blob, and you can just change it as well. So currently this is the scope of the entire storage account, but I just want to pick data container within this. Okay, here I will say ADLS data connection. Perfect. And here I'll simply say connect. It will take some time, but that is fine, not a big deal. So yeah, so even if you just click on test connection, it can fail, but it is fine. You already know the reason, because it takes at least 10 to 15 minutes in fabric. If you assign, oh, it is successful. Okay, it was quick, nice. So let's try to provide the location. Click on browse, click on data, and within that we have files folder, and that's it. Okay, that is it. So now what exactly we need to do? We need to find the metadata of the folder, because I want to know what are the files do I have within this folder, because this folder will be used by all of the managers or all of the stakeholders, or let's say some you can say developers as well. So they can just literally put so much of data within this thing. Okay, so here in order to get the metadata, simply click on field list, which will ask you what type of metadata you want. Simply click on this drop down and pick child items. Child items means like all of the inherited files that we have stored within the folder. Simple. And everything is fine and advanced. Simple. So now if I just try to run this thing, let's see what do we get. So let me first of all save it, and let's see the output. And we should see the output in the form of array, like all the files. So this pipeline run is completed. Let me just check the output. So here, as you can see that I have this particular child items. It has given me the array with name of the file and type. Basically, it is saying that type is file and name is guest.csv. It doesn't know like either you can have file, video, image, anything, right? So it will simply list all of the items that it has under that folder. Now what we need to do, we need to, let's say we have just applied get metadata. So we have the metadata of the folder. Now let's say I just want to filter out the records, or let's say if I just want to process or let's say copy or migrate the data, only the CSV files and not any other file, because managers can let's say upload images as well and let's say videos as well. I just want to load the data in CSV format only, not in Parquet, not in any other file format. Okay, so in order to do that, how we can just perform this thing? In order to do this thing, there are multiple ways. First of all, we can apply filter as well, like filter activity. There is an activity called filter, but I just want to use if condition because it is a better approach. If you are just building, let's say, hierarchical pipelines, it will be like beneficial for you. So how we can just use that thing? First of all, we will run a for loop because we just want to check each item, right? I'll simply bring the for loop, and now you already know how to use it. So let's bring the for loop activities. For each is this one. Perfect. So I will connect this thing with for each, and I will simply say for each folder, or let's say for folder. Simple. Settings, I would need to provide the items, and what will be the items? The output of this thing. And what is the output? Output has this structure with key called child items, right? Let's provide this thing. So click here, dynamic content, and simply pick this activity, second number, get metadata folder child items. So this will just provide this array. Cool. Perfect. So now this for each has that array which says that you have this file, that file name and everything. I have two things that I can just do. First of all, I can just check the file type, like if it is a file or not, but that parameter is not enough for me because I do not only just need to check whether the item is file or not. I also need to check that the file is of the CSV format. So what I will do, I will go inside this loop. I will perform one if condition. See, this is an if condition. This is the arrow for it. You can even search it here as well. So this is the if condition. Okay, cool. So what is if condition? If condition is the condition that you would have used in the programming languages as well, like normal if condition. Okay. So here I will simply name it as, let's say, if CSV file. Okay. And the activities. Now, first of all, we need to tell the expression, because whenever we perform any if condition, we simply write if, then condition. If the condition is true, we perform something. If condition is false, we perform something. So what will be the expression? Here we need to use dynamic content first of all. So as we know, the first thing that we just need to get is item. That means the iterated value. Now iterated value is what? Dictionary. So we just need to get the name out of it. Simple. Good. So this time we have the entire name. Now I will use one function called equals. So first of all, let me just wrap this entire thing like this, and I can say equals. Equals is a function, built-in function inside this, you can say, expression builder, which simply test a condition, any to any. As you can see, equals any. So I'll simply say equals, and I will just put some, you can say, your any text, and I can say CSV, right? So I just need to check if the file extension is of CSV. But just tell me one thing, will it return CSV? No, it will return, let's say, reviews.csv. So we need to find a way by which we can only extract this particular value, CSV. So here we will be using a function which can split the values. Let's say it will simply split the value, the entire value, reviews.csv. So if I split on dot, it will have a list with reviews and CSV both, right? So we can just perform that thing. Let's see if we have split function here. So if I just, let's say, search, if you just want to search any function, simply search like this, split. Yeah, So we have split function. Okay, cool. So what I can do, I can simply write split here. Okay, and this is my split function. So here it will simply say string function. Okay. So I need a text. Okay, so I can convert this thing to string. So there is a function called, I think, toString or string. I can also search the function like this, system, and then here functions, just to get the exact function. So let's say string functions. So here I want to convert it into string. So let's see if we have any string function. To trim, okay, starts with some string, split. So this is the function that we are using, split. Okay, then GUID concat ends with, let's see the conversion functions if we have. Yeah, so we have string functions like this. So what is the name of it? Exact string. Okay, cool. So I will be using this string function. That's how you just confirm the exact function name. Okay, so I'll simply say string of this thing. Okay, string of split dot name, not name, wait, let me just remove it. Whenever you just work with this type of expression builder, it works like this. So simply say split, not split, string. So first of all, we need to convert our item into string. So this thing will convert my file name into string. So now this is string, right? Now I can use the split function like this. Let's say split, and this is my string, and I want to split this function on dot. Make sense? Perfect. So now I want to just split this function on dot, but once this particular thing is split into a list, then I also want to access the, you can say, last item of this thing, right? Last item of this thing. So let's say this is split. This will give me a list for sure. This will simply give me the list. Let's say reviews, comma, CSV. So I want to access, let's say, 1th element of it like this. Now if I want to achieve this thing, let's see like how I can actually do this thing. So here I cannot use like array type way of like extracting the values. It is not Python. So I have to use something called as, let's say, last, just to extract the last value of it. Make sense? Like this. Obviously there are like some error with the braces, but this is like one way of doing it. One way. What is that like other way? Like this is like pure manual thing, but we have some built-in functions just to check the last part of our string. And this is your, this function ends with. So we can also use this function ends with, where we can just compare with which value my file name is ending with. Okay, so let's see, we can just use that as well. Let's use that as well, because I just wanted to show you both the ways. Sometimes if you do not have built-in functions, you have to fetch the values like this. Okay, so let's use ends with like this. And if you just want to use ends with, this will function call lagged or had more parameters required 5 blah blah blah. You can simply say ends with and just pass the value, let's say .csv. Okay, and what is our string? The value, it's simple, we already know, item and dot name. Makes sense? Item dot name is file name. So we are saying that it should be equivalent to this thing. It should be ending this value with this one, .csv. Make sense? Okay. If it is true, then do what? Obviously you first need to check if our expression is right or not. So for now, let's go inside true, and we will simply use a dummy activity which is called a wait activity. So I'll simply say activities, and let's bring the wait activity. This activity does nothing, just waits for a few seconds. So I'll simply say wait for 3 seconds. Okay, and if the activity is false, then I just want to wait for, let's say, 5 seconds, just to check like if our expression is working fine or not. Okay, simply say 6 seconds, or let's say 5 seconds. Okay, now let's try to see if it is working fine or not. So we have actually built hierarchical pipeline because it is important for you. Let's save it. Let's try to run this. Let's see what should we, what do we see? Okay, let's see. So this is running. Ideally we should see wait for 3 seconds because we already have your CSV file. So yeah, and both the time we should see 3 seconds because both the files are CSV files. And if we have any other file, we should see like, let's say 4 seconds, 5 seconds. So this is running. Okay, so let's see the output of this thing. So sorry, input. So input is 3 seconds. That means our expression is working fine. Perfect. That means it is going to that part which is true. Simple. Very good. Now, if our, you can say, condition is true, then we just need to, let's say, copy our data to a new folder in the Azure data lake, because you should also learn how to move data within Azure. So here we will use copy activity. Okay, let's say this one. Copy data. Perfect. I'll simply say copy data, and what will be the source? The source will be your, let's say, connection. Yeah, connection, ADLS data connection. And within this, we just need to pass the folder, let's say data, and then within that files. But we will not pick the file here. Why? Because we can use the parameter in this case. Yes, so here you will learn this new concept as well, because you already know the parameterization, so it will be like very easy for you, but you should know how to use the parameters in this particular copy activity as well. Okay, so here I do not want to hard code anything, so I will be using parameter. So I can simply say dynamic content, and I can just pick @item, then dot name. Simple. So I just want to copy this data, copy this data to a new destination. Okay, let's say okay, and destination, let's pick the same connection because container is same, so that is fine. Let's try to write in a new folder within data. So I will just pick data container, and after that I can just create a new folder here. Let's say Orchestration, and file name will be the variable again. Simple. And file format, let's pick CSV, delimited text. Destination must be binary when source is binary. Why source is binary? Source is also delimited text. Simple. Cool. So this is done. So this is when the condition is true. If condition is not true, that means if condition is false, then what we need to do? We need to, let's say, wait, because we do not want to process any data. We just want to process the CSV data. You can even keep it empty. Yeah, it's not like mandatory that you have to put something. You can even keep it empty, but it makes sense just to put a wait activity in the false condition. Simple. Cool. So now let's finally try to save it, and let's try to run this thing. So this way you will learn like how to just build hierarchical pipelines with get metadata, control flow if condition, and obviously the expression builder. Let's wait, and we will also verify the data movement if it successfully moved our data from one position to another. Okay, so now copy data is running for both the scenarios, and let's wait. In progress. Okay, cool. Cool. So I can see that this is completed. I can also confirm by going here, pipelines, data lake, containers, and then data. Oh, I have this folder enriched, and within that I have CSV files. Wow. That's how you can just build conditional pipelines. Instead of just migrating the entire folder, we can just put the guardrails like, hey, we just want to move CSV data, and that's it. We will not allow anything else. Simple. Instead of using if condition, you can also use filter activity, which is very similar to that, but I personally like using if condition. It gives me more control over performing more and more you can say conditions, but yeah, you can just use filter condition as well. Cool. Perfect. This is all about your this activity. Now let's say we want to perform something. What is the thing we need to perform? So let's go inside this for each. Let's say I want to store some logs for my pipeline. Logs as in, let's say I just want to know that how many files did I copy, for this pipeline run. I know I just copied 2 files, but what if like my folder has hundreds of files with images, videos, files mixed up? So I need to know like how much of files or how much of the items were actually the files, like how much data I've moved. So for that we need to perform something, obviously. So how we can just get actually like how we can actually perform that thing. This is like one of the favorite scenarios of the interview, so that's why I just want to cover this thing. So for that we will create a variable. Just try to cover this thing like you're programming. So I will create one variable and I will simply say files number. Okay, type will be integer because I'll be just increasing the number, and yeah, integer is good. Integer, I can like, let's use array. Yeah, let's use array. I will just tell you why. So let's use array. So now what I will do, I will simply go inside this for loop and I will go inside this if condition as well. Oh really? Yeah. And once my copy data activity is done, I will perform one activity called append variable. Okay, so let's search for append variable. Now what this append variable will do, whenever the data is copied, it will simply give me the file name. Because if you will see the main canvas, if you will see the output section, you will see the output of this copy data activity is this thing: data read, data written, files read, files written, and some other information as well. So if you will see, it has the execution details, it has sync, it has everything. Okay. Cool. So it will simply say files read 1. Okay, I can even just get the file name by going inside this thing. So let's say if I just want to get the file name, there's like very hierarchical nested structure, but we can just fetch, let's say, or let's say let's go with yeah, let's go with files read. Let's go, because it will be like very easy to pick and we just need the number of files. If we want the name of file as well, we can just obviously do that as well. So let's say files read. So I just want to know how many files did it read, and for every iteration obviously it will just read one file because we are just running the for loop. So I will use this number files read. What I will do, I will simply go inside this thing and in the append variable I will just store some value, obviously. So go to settings. So what is the name of the variable? Files number that we have created, dynamic content, and here copy data output, and then simply say files read. What it will do, it will, for this time, it will add that value files read to this append variable, and second time it will add one more value, third time it will add one more value. Once this entire for loop is done, right, this for loop, like inside this for loop I can just come out as well. Once this entire for loop is done, I can simply find the size of the variable. I hope it makes sense. But let's try to see what is the output of that variable. Only then we can just create a new variable to calculate the size of it, like how many files did we process. Simple. Cool. And we actually do not need to find the size of it. We can even keep on writing the data, like this was the file written. So let's try to run this thing and let's see what do we get. This is very, very, very important and very, you can say, one of the favorite areas of the interviews as well, because these kinds of scenarios we deal like on a daily basis. So it's fine. So let's see, let's run this thing. So I can see that all of the files are done. And if I just check the append variables value, input, perfect. So here I can see files number value 1. Okay, and then here as well the value will be files number value 1. So it will like keep on having that particular thing. So now what I can do, I can simply store or basically find the size of this particular variable as well if I want to, because it will be having, you can say, the entire array, because this is of array type, so it will have the array. Okay, so let me just show you that as well. So let's say I want to store the value here in the append variable, and then let's say Let's create a new variable as well called as total size. Total, let's say total number. Okay, and this will become of string type because I just want to store the exact value just to show you. So I will simply go here, and after appending the variable, not after, let's say after running the entire for loop, I will store this value somewhere, because whenever we use the append variable, you will not see the value, the final value. So for that, I am just using a new variable just to store the value, because it will be disappeared after the runtime. So I'll simply say activities, and let's go with variable, set variable. So this is the activity called set variable. Perfect, connect here, and what you will do, let's say set variable and settings, total number, value will be, and here I just want to assign the value of variables, right? So I'll pick the variables called files number. Simple, cool. And I think I would also need to convert it into string, because this will be of array. So let's say string. Perfect. So let's try to run and see what do we get. Save and run. Perfect. So all of the activities are done, and as you can see, for the set variable activity, if I just check the output, I have this output: total number and string of list array, right? Because this is actually holding all of the values of each iteration. Wow, yes. So here I can also get the size of it instead of the string. So I can simply say variables of type string, integer, and let's go here and let's store the value actually. Let's say this thing, and I just want to get the size, right? I think there's a built-in function for size. Let me just check. Functions, and then collection functions, and is there any contains? No. First intersection, yeah, length. So I can just use a length function just to get the length of this string. Simple, cool. So this is done. Expression in does not match the field value. Expected type is object. It's fine. Let's try to run this. Let's see, right? Let's see. And do you know why I'm just doing this thing? Because the question is like, you need to be notified for every pipeline run, like how many files did we actually move. Yes, you need to be notified for actually like all of the runs. Let's say we are just running this pipeline twice a day, one in the afternoon, second one is the midnight. And you need to be notified. Let's say today during afternoon we copied these much of data, then during midnight, let's say we copied this much of data. So how you will be notified, that is the next thing you will learn. But here you first need to store the value, right? How many files did we move? So let's wait and let's see. Okay, this is also done. If I see the value, perfect, 2. Wow, boom. That's how we just do the work, bro. Okay, cool. So now I just told you that we need to be notified for our data transfer, right? So now within this particular fabric, we have amazing thing, because in Azure we used to work with logic apps where we were just triggering one API which uses post request to send an email. But here we do not need to set up logic apps, because here we have built in, you can say, activities that we can use to send out the emails, even Teams messages as well. So let's say you do not need to receive email, you can even receive messages as well. So let's go to activities, and these are the two options: Outlook, and then let's say 365 Teams. So here you can simply connect it like this, and then let's say you can, let's say, inform. Okay, settings here, yes, you first of all need to build the connection, then you need to put your email account, then subject of the email, and then yes, body of the email. Simple, these 4 things. And in the connection you would need to put your email account, like what you actually need to use, and then that means whoever the user is, and then subject, and then body. Okay, then you can simply send the email to yourself, and you can just treat this thing as your homework, because I don't want to send email to my account. You can simply do it. Okay. And you can also check the you can say spam folder if it just lands there. But yeah, so that's how we can just do. And we can even connect the teams. If you just want to connect your organization's account with that thing, you can also do that thing. Okay, cool. And you can even just post the message in group, just say like, hey, today we just moved this much of data. Cool. So these two activities are very, very nice, because these are newly added, plus it actually solves a lot of problems, and it is actually a good one. Okay, cool. So we have learned so many things, right? Good. Now, let's talk about some outsider activities as well. What are outsider activities? First of all, let me just open, or let's play around here. So if you just go here in the drop down, to be honest, we have covered those activities which you will be using 80% of the time. Yes, 80% of the time. 10% you can explore, okay, while performing the things. 10% more you can actually rely on the documentation, because they are totally relying on the outsiders. For example, let's say let's use the example of Azure Databricks. Okay, now Azure Databricks is actually a first party service provided by Databricks within Azure, but still it is a kind of outsider product. So if you just want to configure anything, you can just bring Azure Data Factory here, and you can just trigger anything, literally anything within your fabric as well. Let's say you are running some workloads in Databricks, so you can trigger your job, your notebook, anything from here as well. Okay. Then if you just talk about, let's say, some new additions that they have simply added. Let's say, oh, there's like one more very good thing, which is your lakehouse maintenance. So again, this is not directly connected to your data factory, but indirectly connected to data factory. This activity is newly added, and this actually solves a lot of problems, because if you are aware of lakehouse, if you are aware of Delta Lake, you would know that we perform a lot of maintenance commands, such as z order by, and then your optimize command, and then let's say if you are just performing some vacuum as well to get rid of files, we just perform a lot of those commands at least once a day. So here we do not need to use a different notebook for that. We can literally add this as an activity within our pipeline, and this runs the commands automatically. This is an amazing thing. And here you can also say run optimization and run vacuum both as well. Make sense? This is actually very good. This is newly added. Okay. So earlier we used to just create our own notebooks to build this particular activity. Make sense? Cool. Now let's first of all save the work, because this actually took a lot of efforts. Let me just close all the tabs that we do not want. And let's close this as well. Yeah. So now let's talk about one thing which is not your Azure or basically Fabric pipelines, but actually is Fabric pipelines. What do you mean, Ansh? See, we are building pipelines, right? And we are building pipelines for the big data. But sometimes you need to actually do the work with pure no code. And remember, I was just talking about ETL solutions as well in the beginning. ETL. So here we have ETL solution as well available, where you have something called as no code solution to transform your data. Because in the pipelines, we do not usually transform our data, right? We simply orchestrate the things. But let's say we also need to include one transformation layer as well. That too with no code. So that's why it is called as ETL solution available within Fabric pipelines. This is called Data Flow Gen2. So if I just search here, new item, and if I, let's say, search data flow, so actually you will see two types of data flows: data flow Gen 1, data flow Gen 2. Data flow Gen 1 is the data flow that people were using with Azure Data Factory. Data flow Gen 2 is the, you can say, newer version, where it is exactly same as Power Query. Yes. So if you are coming from the Power Query or Power BI background, Data Flow Gen 2 is like a piece of cake for you, because it is exactly that specific UI. Similar, obviously, with some capabilities to, let's say, sync the data to the destination, because in data flow, in Power BI, you cannot actually like push the data to the lakehouse. But here you can, now you can. So let's try to explore like what is this thing and how we can transform our data and how to create the connections, how to perform low no code ETL, and how we can just dump our data to lakehouse. So let's take an example where I will read the data from, let's say, Azure or your OneLake, transform it, and then we will simply dump that data to a lakehouse, and we will see like how we can just schedule this pipeline as well, or even we can include this entire data flow as our activity as well within the parent pipeline. Okay, so let's actually play around this thing. So let's create our very first data flow, and I will simply go to the workspace and let's click on plus new item and let's create data flow gen 2. So now some of you can ask like which data flow you should pick, gen 1 or gen 2. Gen 2 is recommended and gen 1 is also there. There are some myths that gen 1 will be outdated, but I was reading some blogs where it was written that gen 1 will also be there, it will not be retired. So but still it is recommended if you just want to perform low no code transformation, go with gen 2. It is like, first of all, easy. Second, it is much more faster as well if you would compare it. So yeah, so let's see gen 2. Let's name it as, let's say, df transform. Simple. So see, as I just told you that it is very similar to Power Query. If you have used Power Query in the past, then it will be like very easy for you to understand everything, because only 10% of the stuff is different, 90% exactly same. So first of all, we need to pick the source, because we also need to take care of those who have not used Power Query before. So first of all, we need to add the source. There are multiple ways we can just add source. So first of all, the highlighted ones are these: Excel, SQL Server, text CSV, import from data flows, that means from different data flow, and running mapping data flow transform. So you can also click here, get a data from another source. If you click here, you will see a long list, again, like all of the sources that it has. So if you just click here, view more, you will see almost all of the connectors that your Power Query supports. So again, same thing. And here you have literally every data platform that you can imagine, almost every data platform, and all of the data, you can say SQL databases, everything is here, everything. Okay. So this is all about this particular thing. And let's say we just want to pick the data from the lakehouse, right? I'll simply say cancel, and let's say another source. And here I'll simply say OneLake catalog, because in this data flow, we do not want to pick the data or pull the data from outside. We just want to use our existing lakehouse, and we want to perform some, you can say, transformations. Simple. Because in the real world pipeline as well, we first extract the data, and once we have the data, then we simply perform the transformations, and then we again load the data. So EL part we have already completed, EL. Now we need to perform TL part, TL, right? So let's do that. So I want to pick this lakehouse. Okay, and then I will just wait. It will simply load all of the things, like what exactly I need to load. And initially it can be a little bit slower, but yeah, you just need to, let's say, wait for the initial setup, and then it will be like very quick. Then it will just show me all of the things that I have. And in the hotels underscore lakehouse, as you know that I have files as well, and I have raw.bookings table as well. Okay, so if I just go to raw, I can see all of the things here. See, all of the 3 files are here. Okay, and it is just showing me raw.bookings. Why so? Because it should just show me all of the tables, right? Let's see if our lakehouse is refresh or not. So let me just go to workspace. This is my lakehouse, because I think we ingested all of the tables, so it should have all of the tables here. So if I just go to raw, yeah, we have all of the 3 tables inside this. Okay, perfect. And inside the files, we have the raw folder. Inside it, we have 3 files. Okay, so let's go to data frame, data flow again, and let's say source. And you can even upload your local file, because sometimes people just build the ad hoc dashboards as well, not for the recurrent basis, but just like for ad hoc analysis. So let's pick this lakehouse, and let's pick the first source, because I want to pick like multiple tables. Let's pick this one. Okay, it should just show me like all of the tables, but Let's wait. So we have raw.bookings. Okay, makes sense. And then let's say I just want to create the data flow on top of it. Perfect. So what it will do, it will load the data, the bookings table, into my canvas, and this canvas is just for your data flow. Yes, this is totally different as compared to raw pipelines that we have built, because this is just for your data flow. This is just for the transformations, nothing else. Cool. Now here, in order to perform transformations, it is so easy, like literally so easy, that you do not even need to understand Spark or PySpark to perform the transformations on top of your data. For example, let's say if you are currently seeing all of my data types are of string. The reason is the data was pulled from a CSV file, and by default CSV has all of the string data types, right? So let's say I just want to change the data type of this particular column. If we need to perform this kind of transformation in PySpark, we just perform, let's say, a kind of typecasting. We simply use .cast method, if you are familiar with PySpark. But here we do not need to perform that thing. So here what I will do, I will select this column. Okay, and here are all of the transformation functions that I have. I can simply change the type of this text and whatever, and there's a very quick way of doing that as well. So simply click on this ABC, you will see this data type, and you can change it from here as well. Let's say I just want to make it a number. So let's say whole number, because booking ID will not be like 1.1, 1.2, it will be like 1, 2, 3. So let's say whole number. Okay, so it will change it. Wow. But Ansh, Lamba, do you know what? When we write code in PySpark, let's say I'm just writing the code like this. df dot with column. So this is a PySpark code. So if you are not aware of PySpark, do not need to worry. So df dot with column. And if you want to learn PySpark, I have a course on PySpark as well. Simply search PySpark Ansh Lamba and you will get the full 6 hours course. So if you just want to perform this kind of transformation, simply say df dot with column and you will write the booking ID, then dot cast, then integer type. So Ansh Lamba, the advantage of doing this thing is we can actually record the transformation, see, and we can rerun this particular script multiple times. But here you simply clicked here and we cannot even record it. So what if I just want to rerun this particular transformation? The answer is this one. So whatever transformations we are performing in this canvas are actually written and recorded here. Wow. That means I just changed the data type, right? So this particular step is recorded. ABC change data type. These are the system transformations. You do not need to worry about that. Navigation 1, 2. It just sets the header and all of these things. So it records literally everything in the M language. So there's in Power Query, we have M language. All of these steps are written there. Wow. So whenever you will be just rerunning this data flow, what it will do, it will just replay all of these steps. So this will say, okay, this is your source and I just need to perform these system steps. And then I just need to change the data type of this column and that's it. Wow. Yes. So this is a kind of script that you just run, which is similar to your PySpark script or any other data transformation script that you are performing. Maybe you are using pandas, maybe you are using Python functions, anything. Make sense? Cool. So this is the most important stuff that you need to understand in data flows. Okay. Now let's say you just want to perform some more and more transformation. Let's say I just want to change the data type of this as well. Let's say whole number. I want to change room ID is fine. It's fine. Check-in. I just want to change the data type of this to date because it is string. It doesn't make any sense because in the dashboards, we would need the date format, check-in, check-out. Status is cancelled. Perfect. And in this, we have 3 categories: cancel, check-out, check-in, confirmed, cancelled, blah, blah, blah. So all of these transformations are actually saved. Now you will say, Ansh Lamba, you just changed 3 times and we are not seeing those changes because everything is recorded in this step because we just changed the data types. So it just grouped together all of these transformations. Make sense? You can even click on this drop down just to see like what actually we did. See, so table.table transform column times. This is M language. And it is saying that we just changed the data type of this to integer, guest ID to this, check into this and check out to this. So it just created one transformation and it added all of the transformations because all of those transformations were related to same stuff. We were just changing the data type. Simple. Now let's say, because usually whenever you process any data, we always add a special column called, let's say, processed at, when this data was processed. So let's say I just want to add a column. What I will do, I will simply click on add column, and let's say I just want to add a column. So there are like, first of all, multiple ways. You can even click here and you will see like add a column to write or whatever. But let's say you just want to add a calculated column. It's not actually calculated column, but it's a kind of calculated column because we are not calculating anything, but we are trying to create a column with some value. Make sense? So for example, let's say I just want to add a column here and I want to say the processed at the time, the date when the data was processed was this one. And it is very handy when you just want to perform incremental ingestion to your gold layer, which is your dimensional data modeling. Okay. So here, let's say we just want to create a custom column. So you can either click here in the custom column, or you can even click on conditional column as well, and you can just define the expression. You can even not index column, because index column will not be right one. So you can simply pick this one, let's say custom column. So let's say I just want to pick this one, custom column, and here I will just provide the name. So let's say I will simply say processed at and custom formula. So here you do not need to remember and learn all of the formulas, because this is all about their native functions. So you can always refer to the documentation, and you can always click here, learn more about query formulas. If I just click on new tab, so let's see, what do we have? So here they have like proper documentation for all of the functions, date functions, whatever. So let's say I just want to find date function. I will click here date functions or date time functions. And here they will just tell me like, you can just use date time dot date from text, whatever. Okay. Let's say I just want to get current timestamp. So the best way to just find that thing is, let's say if I search current, okay, so it will simply say returns the current date and time in the local time zone. So I can also just use this function. And if they have current hour, if you just want to get the current hour, current minute, current second, you can literally get anything. Make sense? Okay, so let's use, let's say this one, date time dot fixed local now. So if I just use this thing, then it will just provide me that particular value. And if you just want to, let's say, use any existing column as well in order to calculate something, you can even pick these columns. Why? Because this is a kind of custom column that where you can literally use any existing column as well. So data type will be, let's say, date time. Okay, let's say okay. So this will create this column processed at, and it is saying error. It is fine, like error, because error is usually because of the expression, or if we just use the wrong expression, it is because of that particular thing. If you click on error, you will see like most probably it will like date time format dot error we can convert to date time, because it was just returning something maybe else. Because whenever you just use date format, it can also return the date in the ISO format, in any other format as well. That is fine. We do not need to worry about that thing. So let's click on show details if we have more information. So raw bookings, okay, navigation 3, session ID, we're going to convert to date time. Yeah, I think that is the problem. It was not able to just perform that particular thing. Okay, so simply go here, and then now let's see, let's try to transform this thing. So if we just change the let's say custom formula. So if you just want to edit anything in your current column, you can always select the transformation and go to settings, this thing. So you can again just change the things. Okay, let's see if we have any other formula for date, because in the date I just want the exact date before converting into the date time format. Okay, so I just found this particular data type, date time dot local now. Instead of fixed local now, it just returns the date in the exact date time format that I just want to perform. And yes, I just tested it out as well, so it worked fine. So you can just use this one instead of fixed local now, and it works fine. Simple. So that's how you can just create your columns based on these special, you can say, requirements, and you can literally perform any transformation. Cool. Let's say you just want to aggregate your data, and you just want to, let's say, check how many confirmed bookings that you have and how many cancelled bookings that you have. You just want to summarize the data. Let's say you are just building a kind of ad hoc report, and it is not like a recurrent report that you will run, because it can also be the case. So what you can do, you can literally pick all of the columns. Okay, and then you can simply say transform, and here you just need to find the math function. So let's say if you just go to status, okay, because we just want to take care of this particular column. So there are multiple ways again, because it is all about like how you just want to work with your Power Query. So obviously it is not a Power Query masterclass, but if you have worked with a little bit of Power Query, you can easily understand all of these things like in just half an hour or 1 hour. It is very easy. So you just need to find one thing called group by, because you just need to now group by your column based on the values. So simply click on group by and insert step. Yes, insert. So here I just want to group by status, and I want to actually count the rows, and let's say status is this one, count rows. And yes, if you're just counting the rows, it's fine. So let's say okay. So what it will do, it will simply add the step, and here I have all of the analysis. Cancelled are 29, checked out are 35, checked in 35. That means all who were checked in, they checked out. So confirmed is 21. So that's how you can just perform the statistical analysis, or you can say a kind of basic data analysis as well, right in the Power Query. But usually we do not perform this kind of stuff directly in the Power Query, because the right way of doing it is we create the DAX functions and we just create the KPIs directly within the Power BI dashboard, so that we can just reuse our data. Because if I just perform the analysis here, just tell me one thing, can I perform any other analysis using this data? Not at all. Make sense? So let's say I do not want to perform this thing. I will simply click on close, like cross. If you just delete that step, it will simply delete that transformation. Okay. And you can also delete the next step, which is your navigation 3. Then you will be back on your normal data. You transform your data and then you just build the KPIs and you just build the matrix directly into the Power BI using DAX formulas. Because you can reuse the same data to perform or build multiple DAX or multiple matrix, right? That's how we do the stuff. So if you just want to transform your data, you can literally use this kind of data flow, and you can just schedule this. We will just talk about how to schedule and how to just do that stuff. But this is just the high level overview of your data flow. Cool. Now let me just show you one more way, or not like one more way, or you can say better way to actually visualize everything. If you will just look at, let's say, view. Currently we are just performing all of the steps, but let's say you just want the similar experience of creating steps just to see the DAG, like how each step is being performed. Click on view, and currently you are in the data view, let's say. Okay, if you just go to, let's say, diagram view, what it will do, it will just create the diagram like this. So it will simply show you a DAG where you have the source, then you have navigation, then you have all the steps, change column, custom column, and that's it. This is a better way of doing it according to me, because here you can actually see the steps. If you want to, let's say, add one more transformation, you can click on plus button and you can pick like what you can say transformation you want to perform. Let's say I just want to filter out my data and I just want to keep only the, or I do not want the rows which are cancelled. Let's say I just want to filter out those records. I will simply say plus, and I will say remove, not remove columns. I will say remove rows. Let's use filter. Let's use our function, our own expression. So I will say not equals. If we have not equals, yeah, does not equal, enter a value, and I will simply say value will be, do we have columns? No. So so it is just applying the transformation of booking ID. So let me just change that. So filter rows. Okay, and then I can just pick this particular thing, and then I can just say plus button, and then I will say filter, and now it is fine. Filter on the status. So simply does not equal, and it should not be equal to cancelled. Okay, perfect. And I can just add more and more conditions as well using and. If I want multiple conditions, I can use or. If I just want to provide more and more options to the conditions, I'll simply say okay. So now what it will do, it will add one more step. See, filter rows, and here I do not have cancelled rows, so it has filtered out all of those things. Wow, this is a better way of doing the stuff, because you can actually see the DAG and you would know like this is happening, this is happening, this is happening. So this is kind of gives you the ETL, or you can say pipeline feel while working with data flows. Okay, you can even just look at the script if you just want to, step script, query script off, and you can also see the schema view if you want to. So here you can just see like what is the current schema of your entire data frame. But data view is better because you are just seeing the data in the real time, like how the data is being transformed, right? So this is all about your data flow, a very quick tutorial. So now let's see how we can just bring more and more data, because currently we have bookings, right? Here we have room ID, booking ID and guest ID. Let's say we also need to bring the guests because we want to see like who were the guests for this particular booking. So what I will do, I will get one more source so that you will learn how to bring multiple data sources and perform joins and perform some aggregations and just then dump the data, right? So what you can do, simply go to home and click on this button, get data, or drop down, click on more, and here you can just scroll down. Again you have to pick the lakehouse, and let's see, perfect. So select this lakehouse, and here we will just pick the, do we have that guests data here? I don't think so. No, we just have room. So let's bring room. Do we have room ID? Yeah, I think so. Let's bring rooms. So let's say create, and perfect, because I think we have here, if I just go to source, if I just go here, filter rows, yeah, we have room ID, so that is good. So currently if you just go to navigation 2, the key didn't match any rows in the table. Okay, what is wrong? Okay, item kind equals to table, the key didn't match any rows. What? Okay, table, current workspace. Something is wrong with this table. Let me just check, because I think it was not even showing when we were just trying to pull it directly. Let me just try for one more time. Let's try for one more time, because I was just creating one demo data flow just to check like whether I'm just able to import this table or not, because I just wanted to narrow down the scope. So I was able to load the data flow. I can even show you. So I just loaded this data flow and it worked fine, like as a standalone table. So let's try for one more time. Let's see what is the issue, because it doesn't make any sense to throw that error. So let's say get data more, and let's pick the source directly from here, raw.bookings, because we just want to load this. So let's see. Whoa, it worked this time. What? What do I think? It was not able to find that table, but when we just pick, oh, because this is raw.bookings. Okay, makes sense. Let me just bring the other one. This is a different one. And in this data flow, I just picked the, let me just check which table is this. Okay, this is rooms. That means rooms is working also fine. Okay, so let me just bring the get data more. So this is raw.rooms. So if it works, does, no, it is not working here. Why? It doesn't make any sense. It is working in the different data flow. It is throwing error here. So if I just go to navigation 1, so lakehouse ID is this one. So I just want to confirm it is able to, because I can see one thing. If I just look at the output of this thing, I am not able to find that table at all. So this error, the error at the third step is fine, but that is not a real root cause. Root cause is, I think, navigation step 1. I am not seeing the table here, but if I just go to this data flow where I did nothing, I simply put that source. So if I just go to navigation 1, I can see this table, see rooms. So that is why on the next step, it is able to fetch that table. But what is the difference? We are simply loading the data. So let me just do one thing. Let me just copy this step here and let me just put it here in the navigation 1. So I think it is same, exactly same here. So if we just look at this thing now, maybe we just need to refresh this thing. Let's see. Let me just close this thing and let me just save the current one, discard and close, and let's go here. Let's just save it. Let me just refresh the entire window. Let's try one more time. Cool. So let's close this. Let's close this lakehouse. And now let's open the data flow. So currently it will take some time to save it. So let's wait. Okay, it is done. So let me just refresh and let's try it one more time. Perfect. Perfect. So let's see rooms. Is it good? See, I didn't change anything. I simply refreshed it and it worked. Sometimes issue is not the thing that it is displayed on the screen. It is literally out of your control, out of your thinking. Cool. So I am just good with this particular data flow. And now I just want to, let's say, change the data types of this as well, because I do not want room ID of string and here room ID of integer. Both should match, right? So I'll simply say click on this and then just change the data type to whole number. So it will add one more step here, which is good. So now what I want to do, I want to combine both these data flows. So let's say I just want to perform a join. So I can click here as well. I can click here as well because join will take place between both. Okay. So here what I will do, I can say, should we perform left join or right join? So let's first of all click on this and let's search join. First of all, here join means merge. We just need to merge queries. Here we do not have the word join. So here I will say merge queries as new because I just want to create a new query using these two. I can also merge the data within the existing one, it's fine, but new query will make more sense in terms of, you can say, structure of the pipeline. So I want to combine this raw bookings with the raw rooms, and the joining key will be, let's say, room ID and room ID, and I want left join, left outer, perfect, and select column the same type, number, text, etc. So this is number. Oh, this is not number. Oh, I think we didn't change the room ID. Okay, then we can just apply transformation 1 here as well. So here I will simply say room ID and whole number. Perfect. So here we have this thing, no worries. So let's now try to perform join. So merge queries as new. Perfect. Room ID and here rooms, room ID, left outer, perfect. So it is saying 91 of 91. Obviously it should just provide us 91 records because in this raw bookings we have 91 records, and whenever we apply the left join, and if the relationship between both the tables are fine, it should not explode my rows. It should not increase the number of my rows, right? If it is, then that means there are duplicates in the other table, right? So let's say, because this is my foreign key here, room ID, right? So foreign key can have duplicates, but room ID should not have duplicates. So let's say okay. So this will create a new query, see, by just creating this kind of join. Oh wow, it looks nice. Yeah. So they have really worked hard on this particular UI. So good. So should I just move it? Oh, it's fine. So this is your new query, as you can see. And this new query has this particular data. And obviously whenever we just apply join, we have to expand the columns. Otherwise you will not see the columns of other table. The advantage is we can just pick the columns what we want. So I do not want room ID from here because I already have room ID from here. So I can simply say okay. So it will simply explode all of the columns directly into the output. So now I am good with my, you can say, transformations, and now I just want to add a sync. So let's say I just want to dump this data, or let's say destination. Do we have destination? No, it's fine. So we can also add destination, let's say directly from here or in the beginning, or let's add it from here. So let's say default data destination. So we can also provide whatever transformations we have performed. We want to dump this data to a destination. So let's pick the destination. So I'll simply say add because we do not have any, and we want to dump this data to our lakehouse. So we'll simply say hotels lakehouse. And here we can also say okay. So here what we can do, let's try to create a new one. Okay, so let's say I don't want to bind, let's escape binding, and let's provide this thing. Okay, draft saved. So currently we have this particular destination, which is this one, and we can, I think, also check the connections. So it will write my data to this particular, you can say, table or anything, lake house, whatever we just want to create. Okay, so if I just go here we have add data destination. So I can even add multiple data destinations as well. So I can just, let's say, pick another lake house as well. I can pick another warehouse as well. SQL database should not be the scenario here, but yeah, you can even pick one more lake house if you want to, and then you can simply say next, and then it will simply say where you just want to dump your data. I will simply say I just want to dump my data in this particular lakehouse hotels LH, and let's say this is the raw schema, right? And I just want to create a table with name, let's say hotels on rest, let's say. Okay, So a new table will be created in raw. Simple. If this is a new table, if you already have an existing table, then you can just apply the upsert as well, as you learned in the pipeline as well. If you want to just dump the data as a file, then you can simply add the file as well. But in most of the cases, we simply create the table because we need to use this table in the next steps as well. Simply say next. Cool. Very good, very good, very good. So this data flow is done, by the way. This data flow is done, and you can also perform the, you can say, schema, the final schema of the table, and we are good with that because usually you should handle all of your schema directly in the data flow transformations. Okay, I will simply say save settings, and that is it. So your data flow is ready. If you just go to your workspace, this is your workspace, and here you will see one data flow. This is the one that I just created for testing. I can delete it as well. So let's say delete. Perfect. So this is a data flow that I just want to just use. Now, Ansh Lamba, how we will be just running this data flow? It is very simple. You can click on these three dots and you can say run now, or you can say refresh. Refresh now means you just want to run it. Okay, you can just do it. You can even schedule this as well. Let's say you just want to perform transformations every day at 10 a.m. or every day at 12 a.m. You can just do that as well. But usually whenever we are building data flows for data engineering stuff, we do not want to independently schedule the stuff. We manage everything through the parent pipeline. Okay, so what we do, we simply create the pipeline. Let's say I want to create a new pipeline, and let's create new, and here I'll simply say pipeline. So in this pipeline, I will simply say transform. Okay, create. So now when I say transform, this is my transform pipeline, and within that I told you that you can even schedule your data flow using an activity. So click on this pipeline activity, and you can even search, let's say, data flow, which is here. Perfect. So you can just schedule or basically run this pipeline, and it will automatically trigger your data flow. Wow. I can say data transformation. Cool. And go to settings. Here you just need to pick your data flow, which is DF transform. Simple. Simple. Cool. This is your pipeline. You can even save it. You can even run it as well, because now this is your pipeline. And if you just say run, it will automatically trigger this data flow. What is the advantage of it? Advantage is very simple. You can define the dependencies before running this particular data flow, because before transforming your data, you first need to perform extraction and loading, right? Then you want to transform your data, and then you want to load your data. So if you want this kind of dependency, you can just schedule it via the pipeline itself. And you will learn like how to just orchestrate the pipelines within the parent pipeline. Okay, first of all, let's wait for it to run successfully. If it works fine, then we will just learn the concept called orchestration, or you can say parent pipeline, which orchestrates the inner pipelines. Okay, and then we will learn how we can just schedule the parent pipeline, and obviously some monitoring features as well that we have in Data Factory or this Fabric pipelines area. Cool. So as we can see that this ran successfully, right? And let's confirm it by looking at the lakehouse. So if you just look at this lakehouse, we should see that new table now. Okay, cool. So if we just go to let's say raw, if I just, let's say, refresh, perfect. Where is the table? Hey, where is the table? I think it is not created. Wait, let's wait. Let me just refresh the entire canvas. Sometimes it throws the stale data. Okay, refresh. No, the table is not there. Wow, are you serious? Something is wrong with the, I think, sync. Let's troubleshoot, and let's first of all look at the output of the activity. What do we have in the transform? Let's see the activity, if we have output available. No, because we just refreshed it. Okay, no worries. So I can just also monitor the pipeline as well, so not a big deal. If I just go to home, first of all, if you just cancel this thing, close. Oh, now I know the issue. We didn't even save the data flow, because see, save and close. So save it, bro, save it. Ansh Lamba, you didn't even save the data flow. Okay, Now let's run for one more time. Okay, now let's run. Okay, so now it will take some time to save it, just a few seconds. So you know the issue, right? We didn't even save the data flow. So now let's run the pipeline, and now let's see what will happen. Run, and let's wait. So as you can see that this time it ran fine, but yeah, last time also it ran fine. Let's check the lakehouse. Oh, perfect. I can see hotels ENR. So this table is created. Very good. So now if you would observe one thing in our data flow, if I just go here and if I just open this data flow, I have defined that new table. Every time it will create the new table. Make sense? If you just go to the destination here, so it is a default destination. If I click here, mine to default destination, okay, and this is a default destination, remove or whatever. So we know that our default destination is the new table. What will happen if I just rerun this pipeline? What will happen? Let's see. Then only you will understand it. So this ran fine. Wow. So if I just go to my lakehouse, what will happen? So if I just check the hotels ENR, and if I just want to query it, how many rows do we have? 91 rows. Even if I just refresh this thing, it is showing 91 rows. What is happening? So basically, if you just go to your data flow, if you just go to, let's say, this particular thing, data destination, right behind my screen. So in this lakehouse, you will see update method is replace, because we are simply saying that every time create a new table. So if you just want to override that data, it is fine. If you want to perform any upserts, then always it is recommended that you should create the table beforehand, and then you can simply say upsert the data on the basis of the requirements. Again, this is not like hard and set rule. This is something that you have to just fulfill as per the requirements. Sometimes you create tables that you want to override. Sometimes you just create the tables that you want to upsert. Simple. So nothing is wrong, nothing is right. Everything is wrong, everything is right as per the requirements. Simple. You need to fulfill the requirements. That's it. Cool. Perfect. So now what we need to do? So now we need to learn the parent orchestration. So as you know that we have 3 pipelines. Okay. 2 are for EL, and 1 is for TL. So now we need to create the complete EL-TL pipeline, which will orchestrate everything. So simply go to your workspace, and here you will create the new pipeline. Let's say, let's name it as orchestrate. Perfect. Orchestrate, create. So here in the orchestrate, we will create the pipeline, empty pipeline, and just pick anything. Okay. By the way, let's talk about this copy data and copy job as well, because in the copy data and copy job, you see 2 things. Whenever you are building data engineering workflows, copy data is the recommended one. Yes, because copy data is for your like bigger data when you're just ingesting bigger data sets. But if you are just ingesting smaller data sets and you just want to perform lift and shift for smaller data sets, you can just use copy job. Both perform the similar stuff, both are copying the data, but the underlying infrastructure is different. I can even show you. So let's say copy data versus copy job, and let's read what is written. Refers to the process of transferring data between let's see the, do we have any good documentation, bro? So let's read what is written here, because obviously it has summarized everything. Use LLMs whenever you can. So copy data typically refers to the process of transferring data between the sources and destination. We already know that. While copy job is a specific feature in Microsoft Fabric that simplifies this process without the need for complex pipeline configuration. General concept, copy data, flexibility, blah, blah, blah. Copy job will just provide this feature as a complete job in itself. This is designed for lift and shift, but it is not something, let's say, you should just include when you have like, let's say, bigger data size. Okay. So if you just go and read this, it provides a simplified user-friendly interface for copying data between various sources and destinations without the need to build complex pipeline. Okay. Ease of use. It supports bulk copying, incremental copying, and chain data capture, allowing for efficient data movement. So you can even enable CDC and all. And it is written, ideal scenarios. Copy job is best suited for quick ad hoc data loading tasks, or when users need to ingest data into lakehouse with minimal setup. Basically, it will also take care of incremental data loading, CDC, and it is actually very good for your lift and shift. Again, You can compare both according to your requirements, according to your fulfillments, because everything is given to you. Now you have the choices to use what. So when to use each. Use copy job if you need a quick and straightforward way to move data between the sources. You are performing one-time loads. That's why I just told you that it is for, like, let's say lift and shift or simpler tasks. You want to automate the process with minimal manual intervention. When you do not want the full control over your ingestion, you just want to use the built-in method and that's it. But when you want the full control, and to be honest, in data engineering workflows, we want full control. I'm not saying that you should not use copy job. You should, but only when it is required. Right? So use copy data. You require more control over data movement process, need to implement complex workflows. You are working with large volumes of data that require orchestration and transformation as part of data pipeline. So copy data is a broad term encompassing various methods of data transfer. Copy job is a specific feature that we have got, which performs the redundant tasks like incremental loading and upserts and obviously some CDC that you do not need to enable, right? So if you are just aware of CDC, before this copy job and all, we were just writing our own logic for CDC. We were first of all enabling CDC or change tracking on the source. Then we were just bringing the data plus the changes, and then we were just applying the join to figure out like what data is changed or not. Then we got some features, let's say copy job, which can just perform this thing end to end because it owns your database as well and you can just configure it as well. Yeah, simple. And this thing I think is also available in Databricks as well. So everyone is just trying to perform this kind of stuff so that data engineers tasks are like simpler and you do not need to just perform everything from scratch or rebuild the wheel. Okay, cool. In order to just create the copy job, you first need to go to your workspace, click on new item, and here you can just search, let's say, copy job. And once you create copy job, is like very similar to your low no code, similar to data flow. Then you can just configure it, and then you can just come to orchestrate and you can just create one activity. Simple. Okay, so let's first of all perform our orchestration. So I want to orchestrate my pipelines. So I will go to activities and I will just select the activity called invoke pipeline. Okay, here. So invoke pipelines means, like it will simply invoke the entire pipeline that I have. So I'll simply say ingest API, because this is like ingest API data, and I want to pick the connection. So here the beauty of this pipeline is I can even trigger my Azure Data Factory pipelines, because some people will say I already have some jobs running in ADF, can I manage those pipelines directly from Fabric? Yes, you can even trigger your Azure Data Factory pipelines and Synapse Analytics pipelines directly from Fabric. So you do not need to actually migrate it, and you are not in rush. You can just do it easily. So the connection will be, let's say, browse all, and here we just need to browse our Fabric data pipelines. Perfect. Let's pick this one, and here connection name is Fabric data pipelines. Yes, and I will simply say you are not signed in. So let's sign in, because we also need to log in again within this account, because we need the permission to access the stuff of this account, right? So that's why. So it is done now. Simply say connect, and it will just show us all the pipelines. So pick the pipeline. I want to bring the pipeline called loop, because it will just pull all the data, right? And I have the parameters, so I just want to use the array, right? Because remember, in the loop, I can also show you if you forgot. So in the loop, I am using the parameter, and while invoking the pipeline, I have to pass those parameters, otherwise it will not work. Okay, this one. But you will say, Ansh, Lamba, we are just using the file directly from the data lake. Yes. So in this case, you can ignore, but I am simply telling you, because if you are not using file, if you are using parameters, then you have to just pass those parameters. Okay, because I just need to tell you everything. So let's pass that parameter. Perfect. Let's say like this. Okay, perfect. Now I want to add one more similar task. So I will say invoke pipeline, and this will become my ingest Azure, because I'm just ingesting the data from Azure. Simple. And let's say settings, connection is this one, and pipeline is metadata if. This is the pipeline, and here we do not have parameters, so we are good. So these are two pipelines for EL. Then I have one pipeline for TL. So this is TL. I will say transform load. So I can just connect this pipeline with this pipeline with this, like this, because I want to run these two in parallel and then this one. Okay. So this will not be triggered until both are completed, right? So I will simply say settings, connection is this one, and then I can say pipeline. Pipeline will be transform. Simple. So this is my entire pipeline. And then I can also inform myself if everything is fine. So I just want to inform myself with the status, like what actually happened. Usually we do not inform ourselves for every run. We just inform ourselves if something fails. So what we will do, I will simply bring this particular activity, let's say email, and I will connect this email from this node, which is called on fail. So if this pipeline fails, or if this pipeline is skipped, then in both the scenarios I want to inform myself. Why skip? Because see, if this pipeline fails, then obviously we need to be informed, like, okay, this pipeline has failed, but this pipeline will be skipped if any of these two pipelines fail. So we need to be informed in that scenario as well. So if this is skipped or if it has failed, we need to be informed. Make sense? That's how we just build the dependency on the, you can say, alert. So this is basically adding the alert in our pipeline. Simple. Cool. Perfect. So this is our pipeline. We can even say home, we can say save, and we can even run it as well, just to make sure like everything is running fine. And perfect. Let's say run. Let's test it. So this pipeline ran successfully. So perfect. So, and we can also double check if data is fine, nothing is broken. Refresh. We should see 91 rows. Perfect. Everything is fine. So now let's learn how we can just schedule this parent pipeline. So now we have this pipeline orchestrate, and in this pipeline we have literally everything. Now let's say we want to run this pipeline every day at 10 a.m., 8 a.m., 12 a.m., whatever. So what we can do, we can just schedule this pipeline. Just click on schedule. Schedule is basically the go-to button that they have created for schedule trigger. Actually, it is a trigger called schedule trigger. But because this was one of the most used type of trigger, so they have literally created one button called trigger. So here we can just add a schedule. So let's say I just want to run repeat by the minute, fixed and interval based. So if you are just loading data maybe on an hourly basis, you can just pick interval based. If it is like fixed batch processing, let's say you are just running the pipeline every day at a specific time, then you will just pick fixed. So I will simply say repeat by the daily. So time of the day, let's say 12 p.m. let's say, and start date is, let's say, today, and time zone, you can just pick the time zone, because you should make sure, because you, let's say, want to see the data by, or let's say you just want to run the pipeline by 12 p.m. Okay. But you just decided a different time zone, then obviously that pipeline will run in that time zone. So you need to make sure that you are picking the local time zone, and that way it will just give you the desired results. So, and we can also add the parameters if we just want to while just scheduling this pipeline. So I can simply add parameters, but it is fine. Like, it is just for the trigger pipeline. And that's it. You can also say failure notification. So let's say if this pipeline fails, you will be notified automatically, but ideally you should add that particular step in your pipeline itself. Make sense? It is a good practice, because that way you are actually owning the entire pipeline. And we have some trigger as well. So let's say add triggers. So if I just click on add trigger, here I can have, let's say, multiple types of trigger. It can be, let's say, a kind of file based trigger, event based trigger, and let's say I just want to trigger this pipeline on the arrival of a file. So we have those functions as well within this particular pipeline. Usually we do not create these types of triggers. It's like very, very rare, like only 10 to 20% of the solutions will be using this type of trigger. 80% of the pipelines are using this kind of schedule trigger, or event, or let's say interval based trigger. That's it. Make sense? So this way you can actually schedule your pipeline. So we learned about almost everything, but Ansh, Lamba, how to monitor our pipelines? Let's say this pipeline is running on a daily basis. Let's say pipeline failed yesterday, and today we just want to check the logs, how we can just get rid of it. So in that scenario, you can simply click on these three dots, and here you have a bar called monitor. Here you can just monitor literally everything, but currently we are because running only the pipeline, so that's why you are just seeing these things. Okay. If I say refresh, I will see all of the things, and I can also back to menu if I just want to go to a whole view of this monitor tab. So here I have literally everything. Okay, so here you will see that it triggered this pipeline, then this pipeline, then within that pipeline it triggered this data frame. So it gives you a very detailed view that what actually happened. So I clicked on orchestrate, right? If I click here orchestrate, I will see this pipeline, and this is the entire summary of the entire pipeline. So it will say, okay, this pipeline ran, and this pipeline ran. This took 2 minutes, this took 1 minute, and then this took 1 minute. If you just want to narrow down what exactly happened within that pipeline, you can do that. Simply, let's say I just want to dig inside into this particular pipeline. So I'll simply say output, and I can just pick the pipeline run ID, and here is the information that what actually happened within that pipeline. And this way you will see like, okay, this data took 5 seconds and then 24 seconds and then this thing. I can even check the value of variable, okay, this thing. So this way you can just keep on going inside the nested pipelines and you can get every monitoring log that you need. Sometimes, let's say this is a very like good realistic scenario. Sometimes what will happen, let's say your pipeline failed. Okay, so let's say you are at this pipeline and these 3 parent pipelines are visible, but let's say this pipeline failed. You do not know what actually failed within this pipeline. So what you will do, you will go inside this pipeline like this, let's say output, and click on pipeline run ID. Then you will see everything here. Then let's say this pipeline failed at this step, maybe because of any reason. It can be a kind of networking issue. Obviously inside variable there is no networking issue, but imagine, let's say you are making an API call here, and if you just read the error, you just will see the error here. You will read it because you have the output section. So you will say, oh, okay, so there is one error related to networking, but I think this can be resolved by just rerunning the pipeline. So now just tell me one thing, only this activity failed, but this worked fine, this worked fine. Should I rerun the entire pipeline? Obviously no, because these 2 are already done. I just need to run this activity, right? Then I can click on this drop down and I can see rerun entire pipeline or rerun from the failed activity. Currently it is grayed out because nothing is failed. That is why. So you can even rerun from the failed activity or rerun from selected activity. Oh, so you do not need to rerun the entire pipeline because currently this pipeline is small, but in the real world, let's say you are just adding 20-30 tasks in one pipeline. So obviously you do not want to just rerun the pipeline and waste the resources. Make sense? So that's how you just rerun the pipelines in production if you see any kind of failures, right? In production, yes, in production. Because in production, we do not just change the code. We simply rerun the pipeline first of all, and let's make sure, because it is from my personal experience, 50% of the pipeline issues will be gone by just rerunning the pipeline. Trust me. Trust me. If you just see something, debug a little and then just try to rerun the pipeline and see what will happen. In most of the cases, it will just solve the issue. Trust me. Because mostly you will see some database error, some networking error, some server error. If you are just bringing some data from APIs, most of the cases will require that particular step. Okay. So this is all about your Fabric pipelines, and I hope that you have a very detailed, holistic knowledge, skills, whatever you can say, about Fabric pipelines. And now you are good to create more and more pipelines in the real world. And the agenda of this particular video is complete now, that you have the right skills, right knowledge, right fundamental knowledge in order to get started with Fabric pipelines. And not just get started, you have like real world industry knowledge as well. Make sense? So I hope you liked the video, and if you like the video, simply hit the like button and click on subscribe button, and just click on the video coming on the screen right now. I will see you